here to tell you that your whole life can change in a moment. And this is that moment. And this is the word.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another amazing episode of The Word, the Unofficial PREACHER Podcast. I'm your co-host, Steve.
What's going on, Steve? How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing wonderfully, man. How are you feeling, man? I knew you were kind of under the weather yesterday due to California being on fire.
Yeah, it caused me to bitch up a little bit. Hi, everyone. What's up? This is Dan. Yeah, I bitched up a little bit yesterday. I'm sorry for the late delivery of the show, but the California fires are killing me, guys. Not literally killing me, but had me like Eugene and PE. I had to have not Eugene. I shouldn't have used that reference, man, because I wasn't actually talking about Eugene. But, I'm trying to get you guys to picture, like, that dude in PE that gets picked last, and he's got his inhaler. Yeah, that was me yesterday. I couldn't talk.
How many times did you pump?
Twice. I hadn't for a while is the reason. So, do you know what I'm saying?
That is so funny to me. I don't know why I think you pumping your freaking asthma inhaler is so funny to me.
I think I know exactly why. It was weird though, Steve, because when I pumped it, not a lot came out. So,
is that what it is?
Yeah, it was really weird.
Hey, do you have a prescription for like albuterol or whatever?
I'll thank you to stay out of my personal affairs, sir. That's none of your business. That is none of your business.
Oh my goodness, Dan. I did not know you had legit asthma.
You're diagnosing me right now.
I mean, you did have an inhaler.
That doesn't mean that I have a legit asthma.
If someone is like, I'll be like, that's asthma.
I just walk around going, my puffer, please, my puffer.
So if you were in the state you were in yesterday and you were on your vacation, would you be in trouble walking around Disneyland? No,
man. I felt like crappy. I just didn't have any energy yesterday, and my head hurt, and my throat was really burning.
Okay.
My voice came back, but it's still not fully there. It's the matter of, do I want to sit and read a 2-hour breakdown?
Oh, gee.
Do you know what I mean?
Gee.
So,
I totally get that.
Trust me, guys. I was just trying to help you out. You guys are the ones that have to listen to it. You didn't want me talking like this the whole time, did you?
Okay.
Maybe you did.
Just to balance this out.
Welcome to Preacher Talk.
We could have done it like that. You could have got. Oh, you know what? You didn't try your apple vinegar concoction. That might have cleared it right on up.
It is good for your throat, sir. That's what Stevie says.
Did you make it today?
No, I didn't make it.
Gee, what's up with that? Gee, I haven't seen it for a while.
It's all right. I got a little ice water. It's a hot day.
Gee, the apple cider vinegar is legit. Every time you drink it, all of a sudden you feel like better. I could tell.
No, I'm good. We are good to go.
Dan felt horrible about yesterday, so he's going to make up for it today. Why? Because he's going to do an amazing, awesome breakdown of this awesome show. But before we do, today we're only going to do, you guys have to listen, because Dan's like, he told me yesterday, he said, you know what I'm sick of? I said, what? Global warming? He's like, no. I was like, Trump? He said, no. I said, what then? He's like, I'm tired of doing.
I'm sick of that dick too, but
yeah, of course. I'm tired of doing the contact information in the beginning and the end. And I'm like, why are you in my face like this, though? He's like, I'm just sick of it. And I'm like, okay, dude, you could do it in the beginning. This is not a thing.
Make him a voice crack.
Yes, I was like, okay, you can do it. So he's only going to be doing it at the beginning. So get your pens and papers out.
Why you got to put all the behind the scenes shit in there? Can't we just do a show? You giving a fucking VIP tour at Universal Studios or something like that?
I'm feeling very open right now. Dan is sick of it. He has had enough. So here's his one time going through this. And if you don't catch it this time, I don't know what to tell you.
Old school listeners may recall that I was also a doctor last season too. So grain of salt with Steve's shenanigans.
I'm saying that did happen in a garage. I'm just letting you know. And I was like, dude, you need to take it a few notches down. I was like, if you want to do it in the beginning, do it in the beginning, just the beginning. But Lord have mercy, I didn't know it was this serious. So it's on you.
No, I'm not doing it at all now. That's it. Fuck everyone. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Since you're begging for it, one time for your mind, Hudson. Here we go.
Whoa, that's a nice pull right there. I'm shocked you know that song.
You know, you're cutting me off here. I'm trying to talk.
My bad.
You see what I got to deal with?
Is a deep cut.
Still talking, Hudson. I'm just saying.
All right.
You are literally still talking. Now you're fucking whistling. What am I supposed to do with you, dude?
I don't know, man. I gotta go get my inhaler.
Shove it right up your ass. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heroes. Oh, my Lord. See what you did to me?
That was great.
What is happening, everybody? What's brackin', as they say in some parts of the world? My name is Dan Ramirez, and I've got some information for you. If you want to contact the show, feel free to do so, and let's get down with it right now. If you want to hit us up on email, it is askthewordpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up at Twitter, @word_podcast. That's us, myself, Dan, Q, Public, and my buddy SE_Hudson Music. Tell you what, guys, let me make this very simple for you. www.heroesofnoise.com is your one-stop shop for everything. That includes this show, The Word, as well as our other show, Heroes of Noise, because you were probably wondering, where do you get Heroes of Noise, right? Well, guys, let me tell you, that's the other podcast. Just listen to it. You can subscribe to it. If you like movies and TV and music and current events and just a whole lot of bullshitting coming from us, that's the show to listen to. And since we only have a couple left on this one, guys, you may want to hop on now. Just a suggestion. But anyway, you can get us again at heroesofnoise.com. While you're there, hit the contact tab, and or you can just scroll down for that matter, because I made sure, guys, to do it twice. So you dummies, the ones that are little dense, they may need that. Go over to the voicemail page and just start talking. It's as simple as that. You can talk from your phone or your computer. Do it all right there. Anyway, that's enough for me. It's already starting to babble. It's time to do a show. Steve, continue, please.
And the only thing better than a 4-star review would be a 5-star review, meaning that.
Oh, is it 5?
Yes, it is.
Well, see, I wouldn't know because we never fucking get any, Steve. So I was just.
See, he's in a mood today.
I am a little bit testy.
In a mood today.
I'm a little bit. I'm on fire today.
You are on fire like NBA Jam. That was before your time, though.
My dander is up. Why do you keep saying before my time? And I'm older than you.
What is dander?
Google it. Let's go. God damn it.
Is it really? Is that really a thing?
I believe so.
Oh, we're gonna be. But speaking of dander, things that we don't know. The only way to tell me what dander is to write in and inform me. And how do you write in? You just heard that. And if you do write in, you're gonna sound just like one of these people that Dan is going to. Literally, he's going to do this so perfectly, almost verbatim. These emails. It's going to be shocking.
I'd like to just really quickly, Steve, I want to go ahead and apologize to you because I started off kind of rough. I don't know what's gotten into me. I'm a little edgy because I'm not feeling 100%. So I'm sorry. Hey, are we good?
You know what you need?
No, hold on, man. Just real quick. Are we good?
We're good.
Thanks, man. All right. Hi, everyone. We're back.
It's on you, Dan. Hit the emails amazingly.
Oh, wait. Lord have mercy.
One of the emails.
The only email, actually.
What?
We only have one email today. It's odd. We get voicemails almost all the time. And then, is that true? That's not entirely true. But we get voicemails, and then I mention that we have a voicemail line, and then we don't get any voicemails. Did I scare the people? You think?
You scared them off. I think you scared them off, but...
Give them performance anxiety?
I bet you I know who the email's from.
Take a guess. Go ahead.
Our homegirl. Our homegirl, Christina. I'm going to shoot it. I'm shooting it out there and see if I'm right. Our homegirl gave us an email.
Christina has a lot to say, sir. And let me go ahead and start right now. It says, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. No, nice. I'm just kidding. That's
nice.
That's
I thought I was about to be like, that's a great entrance.
Nah, it's just a Tale of Two Cities, little literary joke for some of y'all saying that this email is a little bit long, but I'm happy to read it. So here we go. Hey, Dan and Steve. I just want to point that out again. Did you see the order of how that goes, Steve? Dan and then Steve.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, that's how she wrote it, man. So
hey,
take umbrage with her, not with me.
I will.
Says Dan.
Your big words.
Dan, you could never butcher my letter through the side eye. I'm giving Steve for not knowing me. Oh, she's giving you a side eye, Steve.
For what?
She says for not knowing Miguel's Do You is profound.
Okay, number one, I like Banana Clip. Christina, but I will be listening to Do You. That's right. I forgot to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it, though.
Mm-hmm. We know where we stand with him, Christina. I'm sorry, Steve. I was supposed to be nice to you. Anyway, let me carry on. It's all right. I definitely need another podcast of Dan doped up on meds. Oh, I forgot about that. Because I was doped up on meds. Let me see what I can do for you. I'll be right back.
Yes!
Let's see. That had to be one of my favorite recordings. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll make sure to be high every single time from now on. Just for you guys, because that's how much I care.
Mm-hmm.
She says, just some bullet points, and I apologize if it is too long. Number 1, I think Dan hit the nail on the head. I'm going to go ahead and read that one more time for you, Steve.
Oh, I know this is not true.
I think Dan hit the nail on the head in my criticism of Jesse Custer. He has been the antagonist these last few episodes, especially in regards to Tulip and Cassidy, i.e., even if the word could save your dying son, I'm not doing it because I don't think that's what it's for. And hit lack of remorse to Tulip's PTSD. But I stand by my statement of Dominic Cooper is also failing to portray the character's mindset better. It's a personal preference thing. I think because all our characters are flawed, and admittedly so, but I find myself most unimpressed with his performance. Okay. That being said, am I going too fast? I'm sorry. You're trying to comment.
No, I was just agreeing. Like, okay, that's fair. I really am interested in where she's going with this.
Well, you know what we should do is, because they're numbered, they're bullet pointed, let's go ahead and we'll break them down one at a time. Fair enough? Okay, so let me finish this up real quick. That being said, the flashbacks and the actor playing young Jesse is knocking out of the park in showing the conflict in his portrayal, and I'm at least not actively disliking him as much as accepting this is the version the TV show is going to give me. I never faltered in my faith of Comic Preacher. That's number one. So, yeah, well, thank you yes, I do agree with you. I do still think that Jesse is kind of the weakest part of the trio. I don't really give that to Dominic Cooper. I think Dominic Cooper's portraying a fine Jesse. It's just simply in the writing. And to his defense, they gave him a lot more to do this time around, and they got him off the whole, where's Goud thing. I just like saying where's Goud. But, yeah, so 100% agreeing with you. Totally. Steve?
I think Jesse... They're trying to make him likable now, like much more likable than he was. I think since they set up this character to be this way, he's always going to be the weakest link because they wrote him this way. You know what I'm saying? You can't just break. And it's unfortunate because I would have loved to see, because they wrote Cassidy in a way that there's so many possible arcs for his character. There's so many different personalities he can have. He could just be kind of wistful and this and that, but I think Jesse has been Jesse for the last 2 seasons, and now they can only bend that so far. So it sucks, but like you said, Dominic Cooper is doing the best he can with this character. I just think they wrote him in a way that you're just going to have to build people around him to make him, yes, he's still technically the central character, but the tangential characters are who you're watching for and how he interacts with these awesome people. That's it. He couldn't hold it on his own.
Like next season, they could completely rewrite him differently. Not to the point of just a whole completely different character, but they could give him a little more of at least what we are asking for. But I think that if they did it too much, that it would be noticeable, but something that we could just move along. In the first couple episodes, you'd be like, what's up with Jesse this season? But then it would just be the norm and it would be fine. So totally. I've got faith that they can. I think that they're making him more like the comic Preacher, and I'm hoping that they just continue to do so. I think they're just being subtle about it, as they have been with everything that they've offered to us over the last 3 seasons.
I agree.
Number 2, Steve. How do you guys feel about Icarius? I'm torn. I love the adaptation, and the actor is great, but the whole romantic angle twist with his recent episode ruined things for me. Not because I'm not down with a gay vampire love story, because I totally am. It's been beyond hinted at that Cassidy is indeed bi since the series began, but hasn't Cassidy had his heart bruised enough? If they hadn't done the whole Dennis bit sorry guys, I'm going to try that one more time. If they hadn't done the Dennis bit last year, I could accept this more, but it feels like this was an opportunity for the show to show and not tell in regards to character sexuality. Thus, they shoehorned in this sexual relationship that we all know is going to turn into just another tragedy of Cassidy's worth. I'm just hoping it's Jesse or Tulip that kills Icarius and not Cassidy. It'd be redundant, and after last week's phone call, it's clear Tulip loves Cassidy, and it'd be nice to show her stepping into that till the end of the world does not only apply to Jesse anymore, as Ruth Negga stated in the Comic-Con. But damn, I was really hoping we'd get back to Season 1 Cassidy, falling into a crowd in which he'd be hunted for what he is, and finding someone to fight back those hunters with, for a while, to then find out he's an asshole. Alright, so let's talk about Icarius.
I am on the other side of the bridge on that one. I like Icarius a lot, and I like that they put in the romantic angle, as we'll talk about during the breakdown, the romantic angle with Cassidy, only because, yes, Cassidy has had his heart broken by other people. I just don't think that he's actually been connected with someone who is actually walking his line. Like, this is a vampire. He actually knows what it is like to be a vampire. He's not doing a Tulip thing where Tulip, as dope as she is, has no idea what his life is like. The different women that he's been with, They may be awesome, but they have no idea what it's like to walk a vampire's life. This guy does, and that's automatically a thing that connects you to. It's just like if there's a person that, you know, let's say you're a musician and you meet a person that you're like, oh, she's cool, you know, or he's cool, seems cool. But when you hear that they're really into music like you, all of a sudden they seem a bit cooler. I think this is all that times 10. Holy cow, he's a vampire. He understands me. So they have a natural connection. And when you have a natural connection, things like that can happen. And I like that they showed it saying, yeah, Cassidy and him have a connection that is beyond the connection that most people have. I liked it.
That's cool, but I really think that they're going for something here. I could be completely wrong about this, guys. But I have this gut feeling that this is all just mesmerizing Cassidy. You know, we've seen Icarius like do the come to me attractive lady thing. And I think that he's doing this to Cassidy. And I think that's why it has nothing to do with like, oh, Cassidy's bi now. And it's, you know, because he's already mentioned it. And that's not a big deal to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm trying to fight this off. I just think that it's a mesmerizing situation. And eventually Cassidy's going to find out that's what in fact is going on. I think Cassidy will be the one to kill Icarius. Because I think that if they go too far from the book, it's going to piss too many people off.
No, he's going to be the one to kill Icarius, but he's not mesmerized by him. He's infatuated with him. He's infatuated. That's what he does. That's what Cassidy does. He gets infatuated with people. And I think he's really infatuated with Icarius. And he's going to kill him, but he's only going to kill him because, in my opinion, I don't know, but he's going to find out what he's doing to these people and he's going to kill him. No question.
You think there's no mesmerizing going on?
Not
whatsoever?
a chance. Nope. If he's actually able to mesmerize Cassidy, how does he break it then? He can't break it. So that means he's not killing Icarius. Because if he actually is that good at it, you are mesmerized until I feel like letting you off the hook.
This is true. Okay. Well, then let's take it one step further. Maybe Cassidy doesn't end up killing him. But what if, let's say, just for a name, throwing a name out, let's say Tulip kills him or Jesse kills him. And then the spell breaks. I could see that happen too. Like, where the fuck am I? Or, you know, something like that, where he's all of a sudden like realized that he's just been under a spell, if you will, this entire time. It is a little far-fetched because I do see him talking. Hey, easy on the yeses. Okay. I get where you're coming from. Because I do see, no, I'm just trying to look at it from both angles, you know? And I see that he does just talk normally with all the other, you know, Les Enfants du Sang.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a mesmerizing situation.
I'm putting my stake in the sand and saying he is not mesmerized. He is infatuated with him.
Okay, fair enough. And I will say that he is in fact being mesmerized, but don't get all pissy with me if I'm wrong, all right?
I will. I'm sorry.
Calm down.
I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not even talking to you. I'm talking to these other people out there. Give me a break.
Okay.
I'm only human, okay? Flesh and blood.
Born to make mistakes.
That's exactly what I was going with. No, I'm only human.
That's a good song.
That is a good song. I actually like that.
That's
song.
a great song.
All right, let's move along, guys. Number 3. Thank Jesus for explaining that it's human blood that makes vampires all powerful and explains the huge comic hole of Cassidy being so weak. However, I'd like to remind the show that Cassidy has eaten a human in the form of Mayor's Miles Pearson. You know what? I forgot about that guy, but you were absolutely right. And he was, and you know, and thank you, Christina. She's shedding light on these things, man, because we have been saying kind of consistently that Cassidy hasn't really vamped out a lot. Mm-hmm. And then we do mention when he does vamp out, we give these, you know, particular scenarios all the time. Neither one of us remembered poor Mayor Miles Pearson.
Okay.
Because Cassidy was vicious when he was coming back to life again, getting strong, and they were throwing animals in there. And remember, he looked all crazy.
Yeah, but he didn't vamp out, though.
What would you call that?
Okay, it's just the equivalent of, okay, like imagine I'm sitting there, and I'm a werewolf, okay? My brutal nemesis, the things that I hunt for at night. But imagine I was on the other side of my hunting staff, and I was a werewolf. If they were like, hey, I've never seen a werewolf wolf out, and I'm like, okay, come here. And I throw a piece of meat into a cage, the cage shakes, and it eats the meat. I'd be like, see? You saw it. They'd be like, no, I literally did not. I heard and saw the kind of visual, but I did not see the
what you're getting at.
Wolf out.
So even though using your term, even though he vamped out, you didn't see it, so it's not good enough. Is that what you're saying?
I just saw it was inferred, but we didn't see him be like, I am going to loke up. He didn't loke up.
Yeah, they only showed him for a second too. So I'll give you that.
So, yeah.
Point Hudson.
Trust me, I've been waiting with bated breath for him to be like to the point he's vamping out and you see like veins and crap. I'd be like, oh snap. They had the perfect situation for him to vamp out this episode that we'll get to. And they still didn't let him vamp out.
Damn, you got a point. Although he kicked a little bit of ass.
Yeah, but man.
He was quick. He was yes, okay. So it's just a matter then of your grade of, what would you say, like scale of 1 to 5? Where was his vamping out?
In this 2.
A 2. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because he wasn't like I wanted when he said I've become immune to I built up immunity to tranquilizer. I thought he was going to be like, you. When he saw what they were doing to Carius, I thought he was just going to like be mad, but all he did was just normal stuff.
He broke a priest's neck. Spoilers.
Yeah, but that's it. I think that's the vamping Cassidy. That's as good as we're getting, because that was Cassidy mad and scared, and that's what he did. So that's as good as we're getting.
Still more action than we got last season, though.
Exactly. So I think this is Cassidy. He is not going to do that. The only time he might vamp crazy, and it's not going to happen, is if somebody kills Tulip. And that's not going to happen. So yeah, he's not vamping. And I got to be okay with that.
Do you think if we had Joseph Gilligan on the show, and we were like, so Joseph, let me ask you, who is Cassidy? Do you think he would answer that question or be like, fuck off with your dumb question?
No, he'd say it. He'd totally. Because he kind of, he was serious on the parts of the Comic-Con panel that I saw. I think they all take their characters fairly seriously.
Well, I want that reaction, though. So should it be like more like, who is Joseph Gilligan? That's when I'd get the reaction.
That's when you get the reaction. Be like, because he's like 12 years old, G.
Go fuck yourself, mate.
He's like 21.
All right, guys, we'll move along. Number 4. And we're almost done here. I don't buy that Jesse and Cassidy are best friends, but brothers. Family always has your back, but family always do you the dirtiest. Ain't that the truth? Yep. They know all your recommendation and your flaws and accept them if you debase the member for being that way. This is a better representation of their relationship. Yeah. I'm just going to agree with you on that one.
I agree. I agree.
For sure.
Yep.
And then lastly, number 5, Tulip is the best damn thing about this series, and definitely this season. Ruth Negga is murdering it. Whew. What's up with God's obsession with her? Does he think if one can escape their nature, then humanity has a chance? I said it last episode. I think that she's easily, if not or did I say it last episode, or did I say it in a tweet? Either way, I recently said that, because I'm just constantly spouting shit about Preacher all the time. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous, seriously. But at least during this season. But I do think that she has become such a strong character that she may not... Steve, is she the best? What do you think? Are you more of you had to pick one character. Is it going to be Cassidy or is it going to be Tulip? We're going to go ahead and leave, even though the show is called Preacher, we're going to leave Jesse out of this.
Cassidy.
Oof, I think I'm tied, man, at this point. Like, yeah. I just look back on how much we hated the idea of her playing Tulip and how far she's come. And I don't know if I'm just on a Ruth Negga kick right now because I was watching Misfits last night. Yeah. And, well, Yeah. And so yeah, you might be right. I think it is Cassidy, but Tulip is coming up quick. I love all of them. But when I'm watching Preacher, it's the equivalent of, all right, on one side, we have the Cosby Show happening. And on another side, we have like Fences, Denzel really acting. You know what I'm saying? We have Denzel Washington acting. We have Cosby Show, which is great. But somebody else is on the other side actually. So it's like flashing between these guys having fun. Hey, we're doing these goofy things. Then it flashes to Gilligan. And he's actually having some serious moments. Legitimate, serious moments. So it's like I'm watching two shows. When I'm watching these guys do these, we're having a ball. And then we go over. And even with Icarius, he's having these acting situations where I'm just like, oh, we're in two different shows right now. One side is having fun, being themselves. One side of this show is actually spreading its wings and figuring out who is this Cassidy guy? Who is he? What is he all about? Cassidy. Exactly. And he's doing this. So that's why I'm just like, oh, it's Cassidy easily because I'm actually learning more about Cassidy than I am about Ruth or about Tulip. I'm learning more about who Cassidy is than I am about Tulip.
And I'm learning more about Hera than I am about Jesse, about any of them. Like, I know the mechanics or the mechanism behind Cassidy's thinking more and more and more every week, whereas everyone else, pretty much, it seems like, have I hit a ceiling on them? Maybe. You know, the most they're giving us with Tulip is just like the O'Hare curse. I'm like, I get it. Whereas Cassidy doesn't do it all that in your face, but you get, oh, there's something in his brain that's not quite vibing with who, you know, he's in this struggle, this internal struggle where he wants to be alone, but he absolutely does not want to be alone. That's the worst thing he could be. And so he just latches on to different people at different times. And so for me, he wins.
Definitely fair to say that they're giving him more,
dude.
This part of the season. Like, this is now the Cassidy arc, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's cool because it's nice to see him off on his own like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and agree with Steve on this one, Christina. However, this was never a debate.
No.
And it's a to each their own type of a it's a preference thing, really.
Yes.
And I can totally see where you're coming from because I absolutely love Ruth Negga and she is in fact murdering it. So yeah. Hey, this says, that's all for now though. I don't want to expand on how I think the season would end, but maybe I will save that for how I would have preferred it to end. And I'm still unsure if this is the last season or if AMC will give it one more year. Keep up the great work. P.S. I did not reread for time, so sorry for any misunderstandings. Christina, thank you very much for a lovely, yet again, another lovely email.
You are always dope, Christina. We never get sick of reading your emails. You always have some interesting insights. You're always legitimately consistent in how deep your emails are, and you make great points. Love it. Can't wait to read your next one. And remember, next time it's Steve and Dan. That's the only thing I would say.
Oh, Hudson, it's okay. Don't worry about it, man. We're all one big happy family, right?
Happy family.
What do you say, sir? We go ahead and get into the breakdown.
Shake and bake!
Shake and bake this motherfucker. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? I think I am. Welcome to the breakdown of Season 3, Episode 7, entitled Hilter, not Hitler. Hilter. That was confirmed by Kevin Lingenfelser on Twitter. A lot of people are saying Hitler because obviously it's about Hitler.
Yes.
Actually, it's not really about Hitler at all.
Not at all.
Would you agree? Yeah, no. Not at all. Kind of a wasted name, but Hilter is what it's called, in fact. And I like the play on the word.
I totally dig it. Because what it is they named it something that sticks out to you. Because you read his name tag and it's Hilter. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. And so they named it that. Because it's like, yeah, that sticks out. And I'm going to tell you, this was my favorite episode of the season.
I have some words for you as well, my friend.
Oh, I thought I was making a controversial statement here.
No. Without getting too far into it right now, I will say that I think that the writing may have been the strongest writing yet.
And it had everything working against it for what I normally like in an episode.
Me too.
And I was watching it, and like halfway through, I said, is this my favorite episode of the season? Like, I didn't want it to end. And all of a sudden it ended. I was like, is it over? Like, it seemed like I started it and it ended because it was so freaking good. It was so good.
I don't know what the show is doing, man, but they just seem to consistently get better.
Oh, dude.
I agree with you because every time I see like, oh, this one's about Hitler, it's going to, in my head, I'm saying, whatever. Okay, let's get, because I really am over the whole Hitler thing. But somehow
what they did with him this episode was perfect. Like, I mean, they had there was a meta message in there that I think I'm extrapolating it, but when we get to it, I want to see if you agree.
It won't be long, but I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
Okay.
So anyway, this episode was written by Carla Ching, who did a damn fine job, as we just explained right now, and directed by Michael Morris. Let me go ahead and give you the quick synopsis here. Jesse, Tulip, Grandma, and Star form an uneasy partnership in order to free Jesse from Angelville and potentially avert the apocalypse. Meanwhile, Cassidy learns to stop worrying and love Icarius, but at a cost. Who writes these things? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We open up with an external shot, everybody, of this strip mall. An everyday strip mall, you see them all over the place. One of these businesses is a sandwich shop, and it's known as Max's Maxi Grinder. So everyone was thinking that it was a Subway thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's some licensing involved with that.
Of course.
You know... Hey, quick story. Sorry, I'm going to go off real quick here. Speaking of Subway, I was thinking about putting this picture up, Steve, but I'm not sure. One time, Gail and I went to Las Vegas. Maybe I've told you this story before. And we were walking down the strip. And, you know, you start off if you folks that have been to Las Vegas know what I'm talking about, we were at about New York, MGM Grand. That's exactly where we were. And we walked our way all the way to the Stratosphere, okay? Yeah. At each of these stops, we had a beer or a drink or whatever. So by the time we got to the Stratosphere, we were pretty hammered. And sun's beating down on us. We were having a great time. So we walk into, I don't even think it was the Stratosphere. I think it was a Venetian. Anyway, it was one of the other places. And we walk in there and we see all these people gathered around. And who's standing right there? And this is obviously a long time ago. But who's standing right there, Steve? It's Jared from Subway. So,
shut up.
Who had a better reputation at the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, because otherwise I would have been, hey, look, there's a pedophile. But that's not the case. So Gail and I, being drunk, very drunk, we decided to walk up to him and take a picture with him. So we actually met Jared, and I remember putting it on Facebook and Instagram back in the day. And now it's just a matter of, hey, look at me posing with the pedophile.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Was it just you?
No, it was the both of us. We're so shitty drunk. We're so shitty drunk in this picture.
I'm saying you two, not the family.
Oh, yeah. Just the two of us.
Okay, so it wasn't like,
because it would have been weird if we were shitty drunk.
Go take a picture, kids, with the... You're like, oh, no.
It would have been weird about just two shitty drunk people with their kids. Hey, hey, go pose with Jared.
Gee. That's funny. I didn't know that story. I really didn't know that story.
Then I could show the kids later, hey, kids, this is that one time you dodged a bullet. I don't know. I'll try to find that. We were both so hammered, swollen up.
Text it to me.
We were so swollen off alcohol. It was just this totally drunk vacation we were on. But it was fun, and he was a nice guy. I just didn't know he was, doing that kind of stuff. So
I will make sure
you never know.
I'll put up the picture and be like, here's Dan with his best friend. You'll be like, wait, what?
It'll probably be
Twitter.
Yeah, it'll probably be very out of context for people that aren't listening to the show. But for those that are listening, I'll try and find that and be like, hey, look, here's that time I posed with a pedophile. Yes. If you're interested.
Yes.
All right. Back to it, guys. We're not talking about Subway anymore. That was a free plug for them and their pedophile. This is Max's Maxi Grinder that we're talking about. Now, speaking of Max's, someone is in there and they're whipping up this sub sandwich, and we find out that it's none other than Hitler. So now we know that once he got hit by the car and just ran off at the end of the last season, he found his, his temporary happiness working for Max's, for a guy named Marty, I believe, who's a real douche, but we'll get to him in just a second. And if anyone notices, he is wearing a knee brace now. So I'm assuming that is from the last, season when he got hit by the car. He's just happy to be doing what he does. He's in his right state of mind. He's like stocking chips with a smile on his face. This African-American family walks in, and the kid's getting bossy with him. So, you would think that Hitler's going to lose his shit over this, but no. The kid wants extra avocado on his sandwich, and he gets it, sir, because you know what? He understands what a good employee is. I'll give him that. The mother says, you can't keep him from his avocado. Hitler smiles back and says, how proud you must be. A delightful child. So he's doing his thing. He's in his place. So at one point, his boss, Marty, shows up. Now, like I said, this dude's a douche. He addresses him as Hilter. So you see the play on words there.
Yes.
And tells him that he needs to cover for him that afternoon because, if the wife calls, he's going to need an alibi. He's got a date with what he calls a hot little number that he met at Target, and that he's just got to tap it. So Hitler acknowledges that this has been going on for a while. Like, again, you want me to do this? But, Marty is his boss, and he tells him, I understand, Herr Marty. You tap your hot number. I'll watch the store. There's something funny about Hitler saying you tap your hot number. But I'm sick like that. Right about then, Hitler knows it's time for his break, and he goes on it. And he walks by a picture of him. It says David Hilter, and he's acknowledged as the employee of the week. So good for him. He goes outside, and I guess he's in some enclosed break area for all the different businesses at the mini mall. He goes out there, he promptly opens up a plum cake, so that's a little throwback from last season. He sits down, he starts talking to the mall workers, or he's listening to them complain, I should say, about everything from inconvenient employee parking to low wages, the whole bit. And one of them asks Hitler, says, what do you think about this? And I believe that guy's name was Rick, and he was from Circuit Works. So Rick's asking him what he thinks about this whole thing, and it kind of triggers him. And I don't think it takes a lot of triggering, but in a good Hitler fashion, or a bad Hitler fashion, I should say, it immediately goes back to an earlier time. So I have put in an audio clip, which unless you speak German, you won't get it, but it's for the effect that Noah Taylor provides. He plays a damn good Hitler. He's played him twice, not even just on Preacher. He played it someplace else too, and I don't have the right information to give to you folks, but he's done this once or twice. So I'm going to go ahead and play an audio clip for you right now. This is Hitler's reply. Here we go.
I have been to hell and back. If you are asking me what I think is the answer to all that bothers you, from Inconvenient employee parking to low wages to how fat you people are. The answer to me is, simply put, it's a juice.
My boss is a Jew.
Of course he is.
She.
Das bürgerliche Volk pflegte mit zu fragen, warum eine Revolution notwendig sei. Die Struktur und ihres Status und die Methoden der Regelung der National Character und der Bedürfnissen fremd. Eine kritische Situation kann man nicht verbessern, kann nicht das mit den starken Zusammenarbeit, sondern das mit starken Radikal ausrottet. Totally.
All right, so we're back. So if you didn't pay attention to the subtitles, I got you. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what he just said right now. He says, the bourgeois people used to ask me why a revolution would be necessary. The structure of your state and methods of government are foreign to your national character and needs. A critical situation cannot be made better and cannot be fixed by working together except for radical extermination. That's what he said. So
yes, because if you translate it, you do have to have a German accent.
Shut up.
You do, because the translation it does have an accent. If you translate it from an original language, you still have to keep the accent.
I'm just wondering, my daughter's in the other room and she doesn't watch Preacher, so I'm just wondering if she thinks her dad's trying to stay cool
like,
right now.
I think it's so normal now that like dad's in there doing something.
Dad, yeah.
Gotta trust that he's okay.
And now this isn't the stuff that we cut out. I can only imagine what my daughter hears from day to day.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
This is an interesting commentary for me. This guy's up there making nonsense claims, nonsense speech, ridiculous gestures. No one understands what he's saying, but morons listen. And it's a great commentary on today, where we are right now. A dude saying nothing and idiots listen. And he somehow ascended. And it just shows how it just starts slow. And people will listen to any dummy up there saying nonsense, which is why we're in the junk we are in today. And I liked the commentary and I loved how they said it. And I don't believe it was a mistake, because they could have made it so that he did that and everybody was like, anyway, my break's over, and they walk back in. But for them to make it so they're like, oh, I think the writer's definitely saying, this is a meta commentary.
Yeah, they use Rick as the, basically like the MAGA base reference.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
No,
and that's exactly what he tells him. He goes, totally. This show's very smart and super woke, and it's always been that way. And I love the way that it just like pokes at that particular crowd.
No question.
You know what I mean?
No question.
It's well done. I wouldn't say it's genius or anything like that, but I love that it's in your face. And if you're paying attention to those kind of things, it's very obvious. The writing's on the wall.
And see, here comes the part where my dog comes into the house. So go for it, bro.
All right.
My dog and his lap dog.
I got something to say about that too.
Oh.
I mean, it's just minor, but it's one of the, it's just, no, it's really, you're just going to go like, oh, yeah, I see it. And that's it. It's not a big thing. It's just something I noticed. Okay. So Hitler immediately gets to work planning this revolution. He's got his little napkins out. There's no one at the shop right now, so he's writing it all out. So as he's doing this, there's this guy that Steve really likes by the name of Saint of Killers. And he walks into the shop.
Yes.
And he just says, Hitler. Again, Graham McTavish.
Yes.
One word a show. And he kills it every damn time. I bet you he's really happy about that too, wouldn't you say?
It's a great job.
It's a great gig. You get to kill people. You get all dressed up and look intimidating as fuck. And you literally have to just go, Preacher. That's it.
That's it.
I mean, there's more to it, obviously. He's probably dying in that outfit. But still, thank you, Graham McTavish, for being so awesome. So Hitler knows right away that Satan sent him. And he goes with kind of like a good timing approach and tells him, I'm just getting this plan off the ground, and that, I haven't decided on my interior minister yet. So he's like, you want to help me out here? And he tells him that he's heard of him. And he knows that the time is right for the new Reich. So he's begging him not to take him back right now because he's got too much to do. He's got to take down this Zionist government that needs to be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, this is the part I was talking about. That's when Eugene, I wish I had the visual to show you, but you've got a good memory, Steve. This is when Eugene just sort of pops his head.
Yes.
From around him like that.
Uh-huh.
Now, this was not in the book. It's nowhere near it. But the way he did that, couldn't you picture like Arseface doing that? Like that just looked like a panel.
Totally.
And I don't know if they do that on purpose or not, but it really reminded me of a panel. I don't know if anyone else got that vibe, but it was pretty cool. I liked it. So Eugene tells Hitler, I should have never let you out. And just then, the boss comes out to tell Hitler, Mr. Marty, the douche, comes out and tells Hitler he's leaving. He's going to go and, tag that little number that he said from Target. He asks what's going on, and Hitler says, I fear they want to take me back to hell. Now, a good boss doesn't want to lose that employee, especially when he's covering for your booty calls and all that, Steve. So he made a dire mistake right here. He basically goes up to him and he tells the Saint that you can't do this. You don't do that kind of thing. But he got in his face. You don't do that to the Saint as well.
Bruh.
He immediately gets struck. Bruh. And he gets thrown into that glass refrigerator door. A couple things happen here. We get blood splatter. He falls to the ground. And then we also notice that his toupee has been knocked off of his head.
See, I didn't see it as a toupee. I thought it was his piece of his scalp.
That's because you didn't watch it twice, sir.
That's true.
See? So now we know, Seth.
I like piece of scalp better, though.
It would have been cool. Maybe it was, but he had that whole makeup of like, not that if you wear a toupee, you're a douche, but in movies, they do that a lot for some reason.
Young to have it seemed like it was like where he slapped him, it seems like a piece of his face like came off.
We can go with that. It sounds awesome.
But
maybe that's what happened.
Funnier.
Who knows? Maybe I got it wrong.
No, I doubt. Never.
I'm sure we're going to hear about it
18 times a day. I think you're right. There must be a toupee. I just saw it as he slapped him and a piece of his face went flailing.
I watched it a total of 3 times. And last week I only watched it once. And now we know what happened.
4. A total of 3.
I'm talking about last week's episode.
Oh, okay,
we were in a hurry. It's on vacation and stuff. You know what I mean?
You were. That's true.
It's a good time, Steve. I had a great time.
Of course you did.
So Hitler yells that he's not going back. He's got too much to do. But we all know where this is going. And the next scene proves it. It shows the Saint of Killers, Eugene, and Hitler, in that order, all walking back to hell. And this is where we get our intro. Any comments so far, sir?
That's the last we see of them this whole episode, right?
Yeah, which is why I said it was kind of a waste to call it Hilter. It really wasn't about him at all.
It so stood out, though. When I read the name tag, it really stuck with me. I was like, oh, Hilter. Like, no one thought, hey, that kind of is like Hitler, right? Like, no one thought of. So in this universe, one has to assume that they have forgotten about him, or he's not big enough of a deal that someone that looks just like Hitler named Hilter would make a ruffle.
Well, I think that's the absurdity to the whole scene is in fact that the guy literally is and looks like Hitler, has the mustache, but his thing says Hilter. Yeah. It's one of those, guys,
but that's why I'm glad that they named it that, because it stuck with me, for sure.
That is one of our famous silly goose moments, man.
Yes,
those guys are being silly gooses right there.
They are.
Let's get back to it. Let's get back to Angelville, in fact. And in Angelville, we now see that Sabina is all wrapped up. Remember Sabina? Remember her? Madam Boyd? Yeah, she didn't fare so well this season, Steve. She's currently wrapped in robes, and she's laying on a funeral pyre, an actual funeral pyre. And on her way out to the swamp for a Cajun version of a Viking funeral, there's this gas can. So usually in the Viking funeral, guys, I'm not a Viking funeral expert. This is just the shit I see on TV. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. You used to watch Vikings, no?
I did.
So in the Viking funeral, they do send them out to sea, and someone shoots a flaming arrow onto the funeral pyre, engulfing it in flames, and that's how he goes out, correct?
Yes,
he or she goes out. So, they didn't have any arrows, guys, but they had to make with what they had. They're very, there's an ingenuity going on here. They're resourceful. Mm-hmm. And what they did was they just used a gas can, leaving a trail of gas from the dock to the swamp. Jesse uses that fuck communism lighter one more time to ignite the flame, and Tulip is really considerate here. She tells him, I'm sorry. She's still sorry for his loss. And Jesse responds, me too. And the corpse is then engulfed in flames, and that's the last of Sabina. Let's give her a round of applause. Great arc this season.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think it struck me that Tulip was saying, I'm sorry. Like saying, I'm sorry just to be kind. I don't think she expected him to be like, I'm sorry too. Like, I'm going to miss her. I don't think she expected that response from her facial response to it. She was like, oh. Like, he's legitimately, and here's the thing, it's setting up the I think this is setting up the Cassidy Tulip thing. Because he was connected to Sabina, and Tulip sees that, and she sees that I was not his only in this world.
So guess what, Jesse Custer? You ain't my only either.
Exactly. I think as Sabina was kind of Jesse's, well, not necessarily Sabina, but Jesse has room for other people in his life. Tulip does not have anyone else except for Cassidy, whom she just kind of, said, you gotta go. So now I think it's going to make room for Tulip to now have someone else in her life.
Do you think she's regretting that decision of letting him go?
Yes.
I think so too.
Totally. I mean, especially when she sees that, look at this. This guy is sorry that a person he loved left, and I don't get to have that. I don't even get to have someone that I love in the first place other than this guy. It's always been about Jesse. How about have it be about someone else for a while?
She's like, what about love? Don't you want someone to care about you? Thank you very much. God damn it, I knew you weren't going to get that. That's hard, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't sound anything like that, by the way, because I can't sing like animals.
I don't know what song that is.
I hate you right now. I do. Seriously. I think this whole show is just a piece of shit.
Dude, I thought you made it up. I thought you made up the song. I was like, wow.
You're like, damn, solid. This dude. I'm just prone to just giving out.
Yeah, I thought you just
I'm prone to love songs, bro.
I was like, oh, yeah. What I said just really touched him.
I'm sorry that anyone had to hear me sing that. So overhead, there's this helicopter that can be, they're hearing this helicopter fly overhead is what I'm trying to say. They look up to see it. And the next shot, we know who's in there because this shows them opening up the door to Grandma's house. And who's standing there but Hairstar and Featherstone? Jesse greets him at the door. He's like, Star. Star's like, Messiah. And then Jesse makes that face because he doesn't like to be called that. And just says, welcome to Angelville. And the Grail enters Grandma's house. We've got this whole crossover thing going on that's never happened before. They basically find the whole crew waiting for them. We've got TC, Jody, Grandma, everyone. Tulip, they're all sitting there kind of cool looking, waiting for them. Now we're going to move along, though, because we're going to talk about the Les Enfants du Sang for a while. All right? So at Les Enfants du Sang, I just like to say it, Cassidy is shooting pool, and he's become much more comfortable. Getting back to what we were talking about, Steve, maybe not a mesmerizing thing, because this is the actual scene where I went, okay, maybe Steve's got a point here. But he's telling them all about the bad drugs in the 60s.
Yes.
And did anything stick out to you with this? I forgot to double check in the comic, but something sticks out to me on this here. Does any reference in the comic? Come on, buddy. Come on, answer that question very carefully.
He said some of the drugs were either dangerous or weak.
Yeah, but he was talking about that he had a bad trip at Woodstock. Does that ring a bell with you at all?
It does not, dude.
I'm going to let you off the hook, buddy, because in the comic, Cassidy's buddy Cy, if I'm not mistaken, meets him at Woodstock while he's having a bad trip. And that's where they first meet. So now I'm kind of wondering. I don't know if that, excited anybody, but maybe we may get a Cy now. That would be kind of cool.
That would be kind of nifty.
Yeah, and it's now, submitted into this series. So either that's just that's all you're going to get. And hey, look, Cy, there's your little reference for the geeks.
Yes.
Or maybe they're going to come back to it. I'm kind of thinking they will. I really hope they do, because I stand by my statements when I say that Preacher usually will drop something in, leave it alone, and then come back to it. True. Later, maybe next season. We'll see how that goes. That's totally what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
So the Children of Blood, I'm getting tired of saying Les Enfants du Sang, they're eating up everything Cass is telling them. Cass is even teaching Kevin. Remember Kevin? That's his joint. That's Grandma's joint.
Mm-hmm.
He's even teaching Kevin how to roll a joint correctly. That's just considerate. I mean, those things are kind of hard to do. Back in the day, I struggled with that. Anyway, I'll move along. After a small struggle of trying to roll this thing, Cass gives him some guidance and some pointers, and he eventually gets the thing rolled. And Cass is like, good job, mate. Pats him on the back. Good Cass. Cass goes on about his bad trip, saying that he ate acid at breakfast, and by the time Robbie Shanker got on stage, he was seeing monsters and crying like a bloody Englishman. Again, I'm not sure. I didn't go back and check, but I'm thinking that might be part of the comic. If not, sue me. But I know that's what they're talking about.
Ravi Shankar is...
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
Yes.
Nora Jones' father.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think I may have made that up.
No, I was going to say, did you know he's a good sitar player? That's what I was going to go for.
Oh, yeah, I'm
totally joking. I was going to say Nora Jones' dad.
Oh, okay, good. I was looking it up right now. Did I just say something stupid?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw you off.
You've done so a lot this episode.
Yes,
buddy.
I have. And here's the thing, for right now, Cass is in his bag. Like right now, he's feeling very open, very like these
confident.
Yes, people are, because remember, back with Preacher, everything was about Jesse. Everything circled around Jesse. Right now, he's the star of the show. And he's like, wow, this is how it feels to be. This is how Jesse feels all the time.
Right. And he's also the star of the show because Icarius isn't there at the moment. So he's really the star of the show with all these people. They're just eating up every single thing that he says.
But I think even with Icarius there, he's still the star of the show only because he's like a new Icarius that's just way different from Icarius. He's a normal guy. And they're like, oh, wow, this guy's so interesting. I mean, even if Icarius is dope for a minute, once you're used to Icarius, you're like, yeah, I've seen him before. This guy is brand spanking new, so you have a million things you can learn about him.
He's like the new cool guy at work.
Exactly. He's like one of the kids from 21 Jump Street. He's like, whoa, look how cool this person looks. And he's doing the cool stuff. And now Cassidy finally gets to say, wow, this is how it feels to be Jesse Custer all the time.
Steve, your grades are showing right there. You said, he's like one of the kids from 21 Jump Street.
Look,
remember that show?
They just made a movie.
Whatever.
See, I was talking about the movie.
He's like Alfalfa and Little Rascals.
Was 21 Jump Street that long ago?
If we're talking about the Johnny Depp one, we're talking over 20 years,
Holly
right?
Robinson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that.
That's nothing.
It's been a minute. I'm just saying.
It's nothing.
So like the whole point to Cassidy's story, all this stuff that he's telling him is, at least what I took from it, is that there's no use in hanging on to the way things are, the way things used to be, and that most of the times today is better. Not sure I agree with that, but that's what Cassidy's telling him. And Lisa, or Bird Girl 666, as we have come to know her, is eating all this up. Everything that he says, she's hanging on. And she clearly has a thing for Cassidy.
Yes.
So at this moment, Cassidy becomes, guy 2 because Icarius enters the room and greets the Les Enfants du Sang. He asks Cass to come with him so we can show him something. And that something is a matching set of coffins for sleeping, Steve. Is that romantic?
It is. And
it was very generous.
Like, Cassidy stands in for the audience on this part. He says, you sleep in a coffin? We all were thinking that.
Yeah.
He stands in and says, yes, I'm going to say what you're thinking because it's just as ridiculous to me as it is to y'all. So he's like, you sleep in a coffin? And finally, he's just like, I mean, okay.
Yeah, he thinks it's lame to do so. And like I mentioned, I know I didn't get that to you yet. I'm sorry, I lied to you. But Cassidy, Blood and Whiskey, it's again another throwback to that because there is a point where he's like, you sleep in coffins too? He's just thinking, he thinks he's the biggest idiot in the comic.
Of course, dude. It's like Cassidy is he wants to be a part of society more than he wants to be a part of a vampire society. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be part of the normal world, which means that he always has to continue changing throughout the centuries. But he doesn't want to do the Icarius thing where Icarius is where he was when he was turned. That's where Icarius stayed. I am in that century, the end, not leaving. Whereas
in this version he is.
Yes. And whereas Cassidy's like, no. Once I'm going to go with the times, which is why when he showed those coffins, he's like, gee, come. I wouldn't be surprised if he never did that. If Cassidy never slept in a coffin, I wouldn't be surprised. If he was like, yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah, I didn't take him being an idiot when he says, here's the coffins and this is what I sleep in or anything. Yeah. This is, like you said, this is just what he's done from the time of the ancient ones.
Totally.
I think he's like 300 years old or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they taught him to do. We think we're supposed to do this, whereas Cassidy was like, I've slept in a bed, so that's where I'm sleeping. In a bed, because that's what I do. He said
beanbag chairs or bathroom floors, actually, is what he said.
Cakewalk.
And that's comfortable if you're drunk. I've been there.
But
that porcelain feels good.
I do believe in this lore, in the lore of vampires, or in this world, there is something that pulls a vampire to a coffin. I think when Cassidy does do it, he's comfortable. Like, for some reason, you're supposed to sleep in a coffin. He just never did. But actually, it's not like, oh, let's just use coffins. I think there's something to the coffin lore in this world where it's like, oh, no, it feels right. He just never did it before. It's another thing that Icarius showed him that he's like, oh, wow, this is kind of nifty.
Classic case of don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, and because later on we'll see, like, Cassidy's out like a light. I don't think I've ever seen him sleep. And Cassidy is out at one point. Like nothing wakes him up.
Those are spoilers, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay,
You're so ahead of it.
You're right. People are probably watching the TV show as we're speaking. My bad.
Guys, you see what I got to deal with on a week-to-week basis?
My bad. I'm silly. Goodness gracious.
So, as we know, Cassidy decided to just say, I'm cool right now on the coffin thing. I'm just going to go ahead and do the beanbags, bathroom floors, but you do you. Thanks for your generosity. Super nice thought. Icarius tells him that he also wants to talk to him about that blood ceremony that's supposed to be taking place later in the day, and that Lisa, or Bird Girl 666, has personally requested to be turned by Cass. May I just foreshadow right now and let you know that I've got a thing, folks, with faces sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Steve knows what I'm talking about, I believe. There's just certain faces that I am prone to hating. And I don't know what it is. I'm sure she's a lovely person. But Lisa, the character, I hate her. I just hate her face. So I'll go ahead and move along.
Wow, I think she's adorable.
I don't know what it is. She's not unattractive. I'm telling you right now.
Adorable. I think they pick, in my opinion, they pick the most adorable character, saying, oh my goodness, she's just the sweetest thing. Wow, that's so weird.
Call me an asshole. I hate her. I will do.
Hold on real quick. Push pause. Something's in my eye.
Okay.
I got to get my inhaler. Hold on. Okay, where were we? You were clowning the poor Lisa, right?
I don't know why I'm like that, but she really is one of those people. It's like, I don't know.
Adorable.
I'm just saying, dude.
I think I had a thing for her.
If I didn't like your face, we would never be doing this podcast. That's how
I don't believe that at all.
I'm just telling you, that's how weird I am.
No, I'm saying I don't believe someone could not like my face.
Oh, yeah, well, prove me wrong. I don't think it's happened yet, right? Like,
no,
you're pretty much you're admittedly adorable, I'll say it.
Yeah, of course. I could do that bar thing that Icarius does later on, just from natural ability.
Yeah, do show me that when we get back to work.
No doubt.
So in regards to the blood ceremony, Cass is kind of like, nah, I'm good. He politely declines, but he tells Icarius, you do you. They're all consenting adults, and it's a free country, kind of. But he just doesn't see the good in making any more vampires. So as he's saying this, in the other room, you start hearing, fly, fly, fly. And Icarius tells Cass that he couldn't be more wrong about this. So back in the main room where they go, there's my man Dang again. And his name's Dang Vuong, I believe is his full name. I forgot to write that down, but it's something like that. We'll just call him Dang. So Dang's been told that it's time for him to fly. Icarius has made this quite the event and has even given him one of those little airplane pillows, because he's going on a trip. Yes. He's going to be like a Mormon, basically. He's going to go and, we'll get to that in a second. So Dang, luggage in tow, leaves with Icarius. They bounce. Cass tells Lisa that Dang isn't going to get much lift carrying all that luggage, but Lisa tells him, she corrects him and says that Dang isn't literally going to fly, but Icarius is taking him to the airport so he can leave for his mission work. She gives Cass this history of Icarius' efforts with Les Enfants du Sang, and she kind of did it in like a real brochure kind of way. You know what I mean? The way that they filmed that, and they had some superimposition in the background of what he's doing. So even though you're not going to see that, here's the audio clip because she's a hell of a salesperson, even though I hate her face. Here we go. I'm such an asshole.
I don't think Dang's going to get much lift with all that luggage,
But he's not literally going to fly, silly. Icarius is taking him to the airport.
Why?
Dang's going on his mission work.
What?
To make the world safer for us. He's going where we all go when it's our time to fly. To open a new chapter of Les Enfants. For 50 years, Icarius has been sending us all over the world as ambassadors. To change the hearts of those who hate us. To turn those who will join us in our fight. All the while creating a network of safe havens in a world that still seeks to harm us. Icarius likes to say they don't hate us, they hate themselves, and we're a convenient vessel. But now no one will have to live in fear of persecution anymore. It's Icarius' dream to provide a sanctuary, to give anyone like you, and soon me, a home.
Of course, Icarius did all that.
Cool, right?
Yeah, it is cool.
All right, we're back. And apparently Icarius has sent his children all over the world, spread the word, turn those who want to join the fight, and build safe havens for those who wish to harm them. Good for him. We then join Jesse and Star and Grandma.
Well, like when Cassie is like, oh, he does all that, he was shocked. But what pulled him in to Icarius' side was, hey, so you're just going to teach him how to fly? And she's like, no, he's going to get on an airplane. I think that was like, oh, Cassie's realizes this is a grounded situation. We are in a reality. They're like, oh, these guys aren't crazy. Because Cassie made it seem like, oh, I mean, he's not going to get much lift with those. Like, he's kind of just like, okay, yeah, we're in this weird world. But it's like, no, she's taking, yes. Be like, no, he's taking a plane. So I think that reeled him into, wait a minute, maybe they're not so crazy. Like, we're in the same, grounded, where Icarius is the flyer. So he's like, okay, well then, and then she's like, and then he takes a plane to this place and does all these good things. Now Cassie's like, oh, these aren't lunatics I'm around.
Yeah, she sold him the dream.
Yes. These people are grounded in some sort of reality. Because if she would have been like, yeah, he's going to fly away, Cassie would be like, okay, I got to remember that. They are still kind of off. Okay, note to self. But she grounded him in a reality. He's like, oh, this is a thing that could actually totally happen. Done deal. Let's, so he, right then, yeah, like you said, she sold him the dream, and he's a believer now.
He was totally enamored with the whole idea of it.
Totally.
Because now he has an actual community. To the best of my knowledge, at least in the show, maybe even in the entire comic, I think the only other vampire that he'd ever met at that point was the one that turned him. So he didn't really have any of this.
And his son.
To reference. Oh, and his son. Sorry, I forgot about Denis. Sorry about that. But what I'm getting at is, but that's all like his world. He knew none of this existed, is what I was getting at.
Totally.
So now we join Jesse, Star, and Grandma as they're discussing business. And Jesse makes the comment. This is interesting because he's sitting in this really awkward silence with with two people that he would never expect to sit with. So Jesse cuts right to it and tells Star that he owes Grandma a debt. Star says he's going to gladly pay it down if she allows him to borrow Jesse. Star needs Jesse's help in resolving a business dispute, which he plays down as being quite humdrum, like business relations, crisis management. He also tells her that, because you're not going to tell her the real thing, Steve, that would be silly.
Yes! You can't trust Grandma. You can't.
You know what I'm starting to wonder, though? And I am jumping ahead just a tiny little bit. We come to find out that she's in the know about a lot of this shit anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So are they working together more than we think they are? In other words, is Star playing a role, or has he met Grandma before?
No, Satan, I think, clued her into some stuff, in my opinion.
Okay, because, again, jumping ahead, but I remember last time when Satan was talking, actually I'm going backwards, when Satan was talking to the Allfather, he has a connection with him already. So maybe Star hasn't been played, because really it's just a Samson unit, which is those three people, Hairstar, Featherstone, and Hoover. So maybe he's just a pawn in all of this. But I was just wondering what you thought about that. Star also tells Grandma that the Grail has resources, and he's prepared to make it worth her while. And he gives her examples to, how he could help her out, such as rebuilding their business and restoring the plantation to its former glories. This apparently, Steve, includes restocking the slave quarters. He says, I noticed your slave quarters were empty. We could change that. He even goes big and tells her that if she wants to leave the 19th century behind, maybe she could do a television show like the Down Home Witching Hour with Voodoo Granny.
And this proves that he does not know her. If he knew anything about her, like, I'm shocked Jesse didn't jump in right then.
Yeah, maybe I jumped the gun.
Yeah, I think if Jesse should have just jumped in and be like, I could tell you what she wants. Before we even do all this stuff. Why are you
just spitballing?
Yeah. He should be like, okay, before we go in there, she's going to want souls. The end. Now, or there's another flip. The last thing he wants to give her is souls. That's also a possibility where he's like, maybe offer her everything else except what she wants, because it's a pain in the butt to get those.
Could be it.
Yes.
But you know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, when I'm just talking about does he know her or not that I'm making excuses. I'm just saying that I'm just kind of spitballing as we're going. You know what I mean? And clearly I did that a little too soon, because this answers the question right here. This was great, by the way. So Grandma's not having any of this bullshit that Star's talking about. And she just keeps her face calm. She slowly disconnects her Foley catheter, which is the catheter that's attached to your bladder. It's where you go pee, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you didn't know that. Someone out there had to. And she slides the tube across the table. Not tripping, not changing facial expression. Immediately starts dribbling urine on his polished white shoes. I thought that was a great little cap right there. Like, this is what I think of what you're telling me.
Yes.
Grandma makes it clear that it's the souls that she wants. She doesn't want all this other voodoo granny bullshit. And at that moment, Star gets a call from Hoover, who tells him that he may have just secured his leverage. We then see Hoover run across the street into this Catholic church, where he sits in this confessional booth. And he says, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 2 weeks since my last confession." And the priest asks what his confession is. Hoover says, I guess this must be the password, which was kind of funny, but he says he's been thinking that he'd like to wear Miley Cyrus's skin like a pelt. At that moment, the Monsignor, the priest, whoever's in the Catholic Church, the confessional booth, hits this little button, and it turned the Hoover's side. Sorry, wow, that was way too hard to say. Hoover's side turns into a elevator, and he goes down. So I guess this is the passcode for the confessional booth. Once he drops down, he comes face to face with like the toughest Catholic bunch you're ever going to see. We've got nuns that are punching bags. Priests are weight training. They even got those rope things that you flip back and forth. If I was in shape, I would know what those are called, but you get my point.
Yes.
Hoover approaches the Monsignor, who's busting out some dumbbell flies, Steve. I know that term. And he tells him that he wants to catch a vampire. This causes everyone to stop what they're doing and like give them their full attention. It's kind of like when Apollo Creed brought Rocky into the gym in Los Angeles in Rocky 3. Some of you get that reference. Back in Grandma's kitchen, though, Featherstone, Tulip, Jody, and TC are waiting around while the adults talk in the other room. TC is doing his best to impress Featherstone, and the way he does that is he decides that if he does lunges in front of her back and forth, that must turn her on.
Of course.
There's this awkward silence in the room until TC tells her, "I'm pretty good with wounds. Not to brag, but I once took a pig heart and put it into an Irish setter. Dog didn't die for 2 whole days." That's usually gets me dates.
Of course. Now, here's the thing. Do you understand? And I'm calling it. Well, no. Let me not call it. I'm gonna ask you. Because before this episode, I thought either Jesse or Tulip is going to kill Grandma. After this whole pee on the shoe thing, do you think that maybe Hair Star will kill Grandma?
I don't think he will. I think he's just so used to being in these positions of dealing with all these troglodytes, you know what I mean, as he calls them?
Yes.
That it's just another thing. He didn't miss a beat. He just cleaned off his shoe and he was good with it. He cleaned off his shoe and he put the handkerchief underneath it and allowed it to drop. So he was just like, nah.
That's what I'm thinking, but the way he was, I'm like, in my brain, I had to think, I cannot wait to kill this woman. He is at least going to see it.
I've got several theories, and I would not be surprised if that happened.
Because that's a big one. To do that to him as a normal, run-of-the-mill normie. But she's not a normie. I don't think he knows that. He doesn't know that she's a little bit more than a normal person. So I think he wants to kill her bad, but it's not going to be as good of a payoff unless Jesse or Tulip does it.
I just think it has to be one of them just for the purposes of the show.
Totally.
But I could see why he'd want to. How's that?
Dude, he wants it.
So TC doesn't stop there, man. He actually tells Featherstone that he can help her with her nose because, it's all jacked up. They've been doing this awesome job, by the way, with her nose where it gets a little bit better every episode. It's very real is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
But she says, thanks, it's fine. Tulip gets a dig in at that point and says, it's barely noticeable. And Jody asks what happened. He asks if it was a snake bite or a nose cancer. And Featherstone tells him that some bitch, that's cold-blooded, huh? She says, some bitch sucker punched her. And Tulip says, it can't be a sucker punch if you saw it coming. They have a little back and forth. And Jody is having a side discussion with TC while this is going on and expresses his disappointment in missing Gator season for this shit. Mm-hmm. He and TC are frustrated, and TC can't distinguish the 10 minutes of time that's gone on. It's like a little kid going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? He says it's been hours. It's only been 10 minutes long. So Featherstone, she's passionate. She's going back and forth with Tulip, and she ends up making a grave mistake, as we will find out soon enough, that she says that it all worked out in the end, and that problems like getting Genesis back is too big for someone like Tulip. She said the magic word of Genesis, big mistake, and like I said, we will get to that soon. Maybe not this episode, but we will get back to it soon. This gets the boys' attention, and she tells Tulip that she and Jesse were smart to call them, and Tulip fires back that the Grail need them way more than they need the Grail. She's got a point. But this sticks in TC's head, and his curiosity is now struck, so he asks what a Genesis is, and Featherstone and Tulip at the same time say a band.
Which is, okay, there's a reason they did that. I think they're going to become closer than they would want to be. Because something else happens where they kind of Featherstone sees something in Tulip that she would like. I think they're going to become unfortunately close.
I think next episode is going to be highly entertaining. If they show them in Japan, I know we're jumping ahead again, but if they show them in Japan, I think we're going to get some excellent scenes out of those two.
Totally. And they're going to start, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to start fighting together. Even though they're going to still hate each other, they're going to start fighting and they're going to realize we fight sort of similar. Like, we work well together. Now, don't get me wrong, Tulip's still off the hook, and there is no question she'd kill her if she had the chance, and there's no question that Featherstone, if Airstar says, shoot her, Featherstone would not breathe a second breath before putting a bullet in Tulip's head. But in the time they work together, I believe it's going to be very fun, and they will do well together.
I can't wait to see that. I've been kind of waiting for that all season, actually.
I bet you have.
I really have. Featherstone takes it one step further with Tulip and tells her that Jessie would have been out of there way faster if it wasn't for her constant screw-ups. And she suggests that maybe Jessie's into screw-ups who sucker punch. That's a dig, in my opinion.
Yes.
She went there, sir. So the meeting continues on, and in the other room, and Jessie shows Star the briefcase that contains the souls, and from Happy Soul Go-Go. Star recognizes it as Happy Soul Go-Go property and acknowledges that they're the world's largest soul retailer. So Jessie deduces that Sabina must have been in business with them, and he asks Star, how he knows of them. Star tells him that they're owned by the Grail and that they have a warehouse in Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
Star, being the player that he is, gets where he's coming. He understands where they're coming from now.
Yep.
And he says that he could easily make this happen for Grandma. Grandma tells him, good, do it, and then he can borrow Jessie. But Star explains that he's on a very tight schedule and can have the infiltration team en route, to Japan within 2 hours, but he's going to need to borrow Jessie now. Jessie picks up on this and he tries to aid Star, and he tells, in convincing Grandma, and he speaks of all the souls that they must have. Star says millions, actually, and that he's seen it, in fact, and it looks like Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompa room.
Lying.
Totally. Nothing looks like that.
That's the closest reference he can have with human beings. He's like, they've probably seen this 60 years ago, right? That's the last reference he has with people.
Well, Grandma's kind of old. He had to go back a little bit. He can't be saying...
I mean, geez, though, dude.
Did you like Willy Wonka?
Yes, I did.
You more of a old school or the Burton version? Thank you, sir.
Only because of the soundtrack.
That was a test.
I love the soundtrack of the recent one, too. Danny Elfman is legit.
But you can't fuck with Gene Wilder. Come on.
Gee, he's great. And I love how he turns evil at the end. Sorry, spoilers. Turn that off if you haven't seen it.
I think there's got to be some kind of statute of limitations on that. I think we're good. So Jesse's starting to think he's winning over Grandma, or he's convincing her, which was a poor mistake. And now we get a whole other level of what Grandma can actually do. Surprised me a little bit. She busts out the old blood handkerchief, gives it a little whip, if you will. Yes, whip is what I said. And Jesse goes flying across the room. He gets stuck to the wall for a second. What did you think of this? Do you like the addition of Grandma's new power?
Okay, it didn't surprise me. I don't know why. I just was like, that makes sense. What I loved, you know what my favorite part of this scene was?
What's that?
Hairstar's reaction.
Which was nothing?
Nothing. Oh, I was like, you are not going to shake this dude. There's nothing he has not seen.
You can't fade me.
No, he has seen someone who could speak you into doing stuff. This is not a thing. Now that he's witnessed Genesis, this is not a thing. He is now not affected by anything.
He's literally seen pigs fly.
Yes. This is not a big deal. He knows that there is an assassin from hell. Why would Grandma's amazing little magic trick flex with him? And it doesn't.
That's a good parlor trick.
Yes, he kind of just looks at the wall and then looks at her like, oh, is this your thing? This is like what you do? He does not, it doesn't faze him. And I love that part because it's very Hairstar. This is who Hairstar is. It is not going to make him flinch. He still understands, okay, I need to get to point Z. I don't care what happens between B, and G and Y and all the parts in between. If it gets me to Z, fine. And so this was one of those things. It's like, what do we have to do to make this work? Because remember, he's on a time clock now. It is officially Like, the time clock has started now. And he's like, we need to get this done yesterday because otherwise Humperdoo's the one.
Yeah, it's a huge bomb to defuse.
Gee, and before he didn't have to have any rush. There was no rush. There was no rush before last week. Now, things just got serious. Otherwise, you think he would have flown a helicopter to grandma's house?
Level of urgency's up quite a bit.
Yes. He's like, fine. What? What do you want to do? Let's do this thing. But anyway, yeah, I love his reaction.
Grandma tells Star that even though she loves Jesse more than anything in the world, she'll render him useless to everyone, actually, if she doesn't get what she wants. And Star tells her he doesn't foresee any problems, and she lets Jesse fall to the floor, and Jesse's like, yeah, me neither. TC and Jody enter the room and inform everyone that there's a brawl going on that broke out between Featherstone and Tulip. Star quickly breaks it up. He says, Flufferman, enough with the rough housing. I love that he calls her Flufferman. And Featherstone immediately leaves the fight. She just gets up and she stands at attention.
See, here's how I read it. Because they came in and they said, what the heck is going on out there? I thought they were going to come in and just close the door and let them fight. Until someone was like, what the heck is going on out there? Because you heard boom, 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 boom. And they walk in. And I was like, oh, I think TC and Jody would have just let them go. Like, oh, just do what you do. Whatever.
Yeah, but you don't want to mess up all of Grandma's voodoo shit. Maybe that was the case.
I guess, but they definitely didn't look like they were coming in to tell them something. I think I don't know if they thought, oh, they shouldn't be fighting. Because technically, if they shouldn't have been, Jody is more than able to stop both of them. He's more than able to do it. He just came in there. Yeah, he just walked in being like, anyway, they're going at it. Because Jody could have just been like, hey, I could pick you both up and have you swinging in the air. I don't know about Ruth. I don't know, because Tulip has she could do some sort of jujitsu on his arm or something. But either way, he could have literally stopped the fight. But he walked in there and just like, anyway, and that's why she's like, what the crap is going on out there? Oh, yeah, well, yeah, they're fighting.
I wish that I had it in front of me, because to me, it seems like TC would have been the one that had that urgency. He gets all worked up when something's wrong at Grandma's.
Yes, whereas Jody was like, I could have just stopped them if I want. If I wanted to stop them, I could have just stopped them.
I'll just go with that. I think it was TC that initiated that.
Okay.
But you're probably right, because I know he could have stopped him.
Easily.
But I think that's what happened.
Okay.
So Hairstar tells Featherstone to pack her bags and that she's going to Osaka. And Jesse shows some doubt by questioning Star on his choice of an infiltration unit. And Star explains it's either her or someone even less, meaning Hoover.
I love that quote. He looked at her, he's like, it's either her or... And you could tell immediately he went to Hoover. He's like, her someone even less.
Hoover's done nothing right yet.
Nothing.
Sorry, guys. I think I'm starting to lose my voice again a little bit, but we'll get through this. It'll be all right. So Star also tells Jesse that he lied to him and Grandma about the difficulty level that they'd be going through. He said he had lied no more, though, than an industry standard of lying. And Jesse tells him he doesn't like his industry, and if he lies to him one more time, he'll give him two ugly eyes.
Which oddly offends him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The other things don't faze him, but he was like, hey, that's not even necessary.
With the eye situation.
It's not my fault.
Yes.
You'll try having this eye. I don't know why that's funny to me. Jesse also changes the plan up a little bit and informs Tulip that she's going to be joining Featherstone on the trip, which she is not happy about. She says, excuse me? And Jesse quickly diffuses this bomb by, he simply asked her if she'd like to go to Osaka and break into a Seoul warehouse. So he had to dangle the carrot in front of her to get her happy about it. Instantly perks her up. And he does that little Jedi mind trick very well with her. It just takes violence and some kind of a heist, and she's good to go.
Because she's bored. She's getting bored.
Yeah, he's, again, selling her the dream.
Yes, Tulip gets bored quickly, which is why a bit of me thinks she kind of digs chilling with Jody. Because at least something's always happening. They're always tying her up. Something's always, not like just with Jody, but like chilling at Grandma's house, something's always happening. Something's always, which is why okay, you wait here. Waiting is not in Tulip's nature. So if you're going to get a boring trip, she's like, no, thank you. But once you're like, hey, you're going to break into a Seoul warehouse, she's like, wait a minute. Now we're talking.
You got to keep her enticed, man.
Yep.
Jesse cuts through another one of Star's lies and finds out that the security is very tight. And he tells Tulip he's staying behind because he has a date with this asshole, meaning Star. Tulip asks where Osaka is, which was great. And Featherstone says, Japan, you idiot. And she immediately gets sucker punched in the gut. She says, that's a sucker punch. And she agrees to go, and Star tells her that they're both going to go, actually. But we'll get back to them in just a second though, man, because now it's time for the blood ceremony that's happening. I mentioned that earlier. And Cass has decided to go ahead and do this for Lisa. He's given her all this, he's stalling though. He's given her all this useless information, awkward information that he does very well about the different types of bacteria and fungi in one's house. And it's just totally a stalling tactic. And Lisa tells him she doesn't care about any of that. All she wants to do is get down to the ceremony. So she lies down on this table, there's a word, ceremonial table, I guess is what we're calling it. I know that's not exactly what I'm trying to say. Everyone gathers around her, and Cassidy, an altar, I think is what I was trying to say. And Cassidy does his best to get all of the words right. So he's trying to, recite the ceremony properly, and he's asking her if she's going to accept her new role and blah, 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 blah. I didn't actually write that down, so sorry for me. But she's like, yeah, totally. So after a slight delay, he whispers in her ear that she doesn't have to do this if she doesn't want to, but she's totally down with it. So he exposes his fangs and he promptly bites into Lisa's neck. So he's draining her of blood, or not draining her, but he's just, giving her just enough of the venom, whatever they do to get you to turn. And Icarius enters the room and he pulls Cass off of her like, easy kill her. Not so, he doesn't want to kill her by drinking too much for blood. Lisa arises reborn. She pulls the fake teeth out and she puts them into the aquarium. And Icarius tells her that tomorrow she flies, Steve, and all of the Les Enfants du Sang cheer for her. It was a beautiful moment.
You know what? When I was watching this, again, this is one of those scenes that had every lose Steve's attention written all over it.
Why is that?
It just is it's like, okay, yeah, ceremony, why are we doing this again? But dude, the way they pulled it off so well. Like, I was like, oh, this is so fun. This is Cassidy he's trying to be part of a group. He's willing to put aside his concerns just to be part of this cool little group and to give Lisa what she wanted. She wanted him to do it. So he's like, all right, you're a sweet girl. I'll just go ahead and do it for you. And for me, oddly enough, it was oddly endearing for me. I was like, oh, like Cassidy, he's wanting to be part of a thing. And he's kind of part of a thing now.
See, buddy, you did something now. Good for you, Cass.
Yeah, and he feels kind of part of a thing, and oh, dude, it's going to break my heart when he's like, finally something that's real. And dude, when he finds out it's not real, dude. Oh, I mean, he's killing Icarius, G. He's killing him. There is no question that dude is killing him.
Hey, I threw out and discussed a few theories, but that's the one I think. I think that Cass should be the one to kill him.
He is
true to the book.
Yes.
Has to be that way.
Because he is building this thing where he makes these people and they're all cool, and he really got close to these folks, and oh my goodness, and you have a really cool community, and then you send them to fly to do great things. And when he finds out, bruh, what Icarius, now, here's what I will say. Getting rid of Icarius, I was like, oh no, if he gets rid of Icarius, that leaves a hole on the throne, and maybe Cassidy is the leader of the vampires. But I'm like, wait a minute, there are no vampires. If he kills Icarius, all the people that are there are not vampires yet. Right. So he's good to go. But man.
But as far as he knows, though, there's a whole bunch of them out there in the world.
Oh, no,
he's
going to find that out, and he's going to kill Icarius. That's what he's going to find out, and he's going to kill him because of it. No question. He's going to find out what Icarius is doing to this amazing community that he thought was real, and he thought he was sending them off to these places and not to move forward, but he's going to find out that they're not necessarily flying to gather, to make the world a better place. When he finds out that's not true, he is killing Icarius. In the worst way.
Do you mind if we come back around to that in a little bit?
Oh, no, that's why I didn't want to go forward. I would just be like, he's going to do it. Go for it.
Because I'm fully in agreement with you, by the way. So you were saying that he felt that he had some sense of community, Steve, but to me, it seemed like when he did that, he didn't feel like it was the right thing, because I think that he enjoyed it too much. And Icarius goes to him and he tells him, he's like, it's okay if it felt good to do that. And Cass asks, you want to just get out of here. So they go ahead and dip. But I do think that he was having an issue with it. Like it felt really good to do that.
Yes.
But I shouldn't feel good about this, but some reason I do,
Mm-hmm.
Back at Angelville, the group is all working out this plan right now for Osaka. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an audio clip. You can see what the deal is with that. Here we go.
Your target, Soul Happy Go-Go, located here in Umeda, the business district. There's a sublime sushi omakase at the Imperial Hotel. Doubt you'll have time, but if you do, Keep your receipts. Normally, of course, I'd send for the souls via FedEx, but the Allfather would catch wind and start asking why. And right now, I'm 2 buttocks away from being rolled into human paste.
Cover story, sir.
You are Veruca Weiss, a mid-level operative in Grail HR.
Well, I have a limp, sir.
You and your limps. What you need is a cover story for that nose.
Way ahead of you, sir. Phosphorus fire. I've decided Veruca's an amateur chemist. She wanted to follow in the footsteps of her father, a brilliant professor at Caltech, but when her mother passed away,
Fine. You are Janie Finch, also in HR.
No, I'm Marnie Pomerantz. I mean,
That's always her cover. I mean, you gotta let it be Marnie.
what's she like?
Marnie. She's tough. She fights hard, obviously. Chews gum, whatever.
Chews gum. Interesting character, very complex.
Oh, I'll show you complex.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does.
You are Grail operative Janie Finch, and so you will be wearing this.
Can I talk to you a sec?
So it looks like it's not going to be Featherstone and Tulip going, but it's going to be Veruca Weiss and Janie Finch. I love that she was fighting for that Marnie Pomerantz, though, because she does like to bring that up every now and then.
Yes.
Yeah. They're going to be going off to Osaka really soon, and Tulip's not thrilled about this at all. But that doesn't even really seem to be the big part of her problem as much as it is that she's going to have to wear that suit. Now, I think the suit looks dope myself, but if she, to each their own. I also thought it was funny that, Featherstone worked so hard to have like her character's backstory and how her father was a brilliant chemist or something like that.
Yes.
And he's just like, nah, doesn't even matter to me. Just do whatever you want.
Do whatever.
Just shut your fucking hole is what he's trying to tell her.
Just
Star's
do
cold-blooded,
the job
man.
and
She
move
loves him
on.
so much, dude, and he just does
He
not
has no
give her
time.
any
The
play.
stopwatch has started.
Yeah, but he
does
says
not
such
have
mean,
time.
he says such mean things to her, like, "Oh, there goes my morning erection," and
Yep.
she's a good-looking woman, but he's just not having it. In the hallway, Jesse tries to calm Tulip down, by telling her it's going to be all right. It's just the way that it has to be, and they're pretty much out of options. So we have to do this. He tells Tulip that they're hopefully, they're going to have a couple of future options down the road when they all get back, and maybe Jesse's going to get back first with Genesis, and if he kills Grandma, then they're good. Or maybe if Tulip gets back first, pays off the debt, and then she just dips, and then he never has to come back. But Tulip fears that Featherstone is going to push her until she ends up doing what she calls some stupid O'Hare shit. And Jesse tells her, to get off the whole curse of the O'Hare crap, but Tulip's calling him out, and she's like, well, you've thought it before. He's like, well, even if I did, I was wrong. And he tells her that she's the toughest, most survivingist woman he ever met. And that seems to like diffuse her little Tulip bomb for the moment. And then I like that he also tells her that, if Flufferman gets into her grill, to just close her eyes and breathe through it. So I was wondering, because we know when he met Featherstone, he met her as Laura, which is her name, but he also just called her the jazz singer for the rest of the time. So I wonder if he even knows that Featherstone's her real name, because Hairstar's always saying something different. You know what I mean?
He totally doesn't know.
Yeah, so it's Flufferman this time around. Tulip eventually agrees to doing all of this, but she's still not real down with the suit. We're going to go ahead and go back real quick, though, and we find Icarius and Cassidy. And now they're doing that whole Superman thing again. They're soaring through the skies, and they end up at this bar. First, they land in this alleyway, and they end up going to this bar. And at this bar, they practice their hypnotic seduction. Icarius goes for this burly bartender. He likes the burly guys. And Cass tries for these 2 attractive women that are across the bar for him, and he starts giving them the eye, and they seem to, notice that, and they seem to get up. But when they start coming towards him, he finds out that Icarius was giving him a little help the whole time, so he gets a little bit annoyed about that. But he accepts the help anyway, and he begins to make out with one of the women, and I think Icarius takes the other one because he's a player that way. Later that evening, Cass and Icarius are on a street corner, and Icarius is transformed back into a cat again, and Cassidy is stroking him and telling him that he's impatient because his powers aren't really as strong as they should be yet. And he asks Icarius if he's ever had cat sex before, but Icarius tells him no, because I can do this, and he begins to lick himself.
I love that Cassidy was like, I would imagine that I would at least have a tail or something. Like I would at least have grown a tail. And dude was like, just chill. You'll get it. He's like, I can't even do anything yet. Then he's like, yeah, just calm down. But I loved when he said, he was like, I thought I would at least have a tail or something by now.
He's like, he wants it all in like 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Dude's been a vampire for 300 years.
He didn't even know these things were possible yet. And now he's just like, well, I should be able to turn into something, at least a little bit. and he just can't. But yeah, dude, awesome scene.
Across the street, we see that Hoover and the Catholic mercenaries, as I'm calling them, they're all watching. And Hoover tells the other guy that they need Cass alive, but they can do whatever they want to the Catman. The priest addresses that the rest of his team, they're all assembled behind them, kind of off in the distance a little bit, but he tells them all to saddle up. We cut back to Angelville, Steve, and Jesse is amused as he sees Tulip make her way downstairs in this suit, looking fine. I think she was looking fine myself.
Great.
But she's like, not one goddamn thing. And Jesse still gets in a couple little digs with her. Before they leave, Tulip, because they're all getting ready to leave, they're standing in the front room. And Tulip tells Jesse that she needs him to check on Cassidy. Do him a big favor. When he's in New Orleans, check on Cassidy. But Jesse says he's not going to have that kind of time, or he may not have that time. But Tulip really pushes the issue with him. And she tells him, Cass is your best friend. And she's worried about him. So she wants him to go and check it out.
Tulip is partly in love with Cassidy.
Oh, faux show.
Yes.
Just then, TC and Featherstone and Hairstar enter the room, and TC is explaining that he's not allowed on planes anymore because of the watch list, and Jody's going to have to take good care of him. This is a really funny part to me. Tulip and Jesse, they say their romantic goodbyes to each other, and they embrace, and they have this really long kiss, and she tells him, watch your ass. So I will. She walks out the door. And in the background, you can see Featherstone admiring that they have this type of relationship. You can see it all over her face. She's envious. When Tulip tells Jesse to watch her ass, she leaves, like I said. And Featherstone tries to do the same thing with Hairstar. It's really funny. Clearly inspired by that show of affection. She tries to work it out on Star, but it's Featherstone, and this is how it ends up going. Here's another audio clip for you.
You watch your ass too, sir. I'll call you from the car.
Why?
Yeah, I'll text you from the plane.
Why?
I'll see you when the mission's done, sir.
So it's pretty apparent Featherstone is wasting her time. Would you not agree?
Totally, dude. He is not hearing what she's talking about. But he's, again, even though he's normally like this, I even give him one extra pass because of the situation.
Yeah, he's all business right now.
Dude,
He can't be playing.
Hours are ticking by. And let alone they got to fly to Osaka now? And then bring it back. And then we're talking about a deal. So he's like, let's go.
She's telling him, I'll call you. Why?
Why?
I'll text you on the plane. Why? I'll see you when we get back, sir.
Yes.
Once they leave, Star says, excellent. The game's afoot to Jesse, and Grandma calls for Jesse real quick, and he leaves the room, and he leaves Star alone with TC. Again, another funny scene. And this is more of a visual type of thing. I don't have an audio clip for you, but TC does his best to start a conversation with Hairstar, and he says, I like your hat. He's like, thank you. He tells him, I used to have a hat myself. It was made out of possum guts, but it stank to high heaven because it wasn't cured right. He's just going on and on. And Star does the best thing ever. He just says, excuse me, breaks out his cell phone, turns just a little bit away from it, and you just hear the dial tone.
And the funny thing is, here's the funny part about that. We don't hear dial tones anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't hear dial tones. When you pick up a cell phone, there is no dial tone there. But they just put that in as a joke saying, let's just go on a throwback joke so that you know he's not talking to anyone.
It stuck. The joke landed.
It was funny. It was hilarious.
It's super good visual comedy.
And auditory comedy because you hear the boo, knowing that cell phones don't do that.
But I like it because TC is just kind of standing there waiting, just smiling like, I'll start talking again.
Yeah, I'll wait. Yeah, when you turn around, we're back in this convo.
I could do this all day long.
Yep.
Grandma's sleeping.
Yep.
Miss Marie's sleeping. Now, in the other room, she wasn't really sleeping, guys. In the other room, Jesse's talking to Grandma, and this is just like a flat out display of domestic abuse, in my opinion. She's breaking down crying. This is how fucked up she is. She's breaking down crying. And she's telling them, you can't leave because TC's making chicken biscuits. And you know what? Jesse knows how much he likes those, I guess. And Jesse tells her that, this is going to be how you finally get what you want. You're going to get everything. You're going to get your souls. We all win. And Grandma tells him that she hopes so. Otherwise, she's going to tear Jesse in half and suck out his soul and send him to hell, just like she did to his mama. But at the same time, she's embracing him and crying like she loves it. It's a very screwed up relationship, ladies and gentlemen.
He is going to kill that woman.
Yeah, but it's weird though, because I guess he just has to have that poker face on.
He has to.
But to me, it almost seems like maybe he just knows Grandma so well, he knows what she wants from him.
Yes, totally.
But There was one episode where she's like, I'm cold, Jesse. And he just immediately goes and gets her a shawl. You know,
That's habit. That's habit.
Right. It's a habit thing. He's
habit.
just used to working for grandma.
Yeah, it's totally like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah, there you go. That's a very good example of it, actually. Ding, salivate.
Yep, he'll just do it.
But it's just weird because, he puts his arm around her and he assures her that, it's not going to come to that. I promise you, I'll come back to you. And I know he has to say all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But in Dominic Cooper, since I feel like I've been bashing on the guy, but I'm not, I will say that he does a very good job of playing that off.
Yes.
The looks on his faces are so like cross between, it's just domestic abuse is what it is.
Totally.
He's got this disturbed look all over his face. All right, anyway. But we cut back to those mercenaries, the holy mercenaries, as I've come to call them, and they're pushing these devices down the street that are called the Exo Sunspot 3000s. Icarius and Cass are walking home, and Icarius tells Cass that his powers are coming along, but that his mesmerizing skills are booty, and they're quite embarrassing. Cass tells Icarius that he's not perfect either, and Icarius admits that he has been on the planet for 300 years and has only had his first bong hit that evening. Cassidy tells him that if he liked that, he gives a masterclass on angel dust. See, I just wish that they could have more time to do these things again. I'd like to see another scene like the hotel when he was running around with Fior in the hotel room.
Yes.
That would be a perfect time to do something like that.
Well, you could tell that. Look, skip a bong hit. They were drinking absinthe. You don't need no bong hit if you drink absinthe. You're good.
Yeah, but if you have the combo, not that I've had that, but I imagine it's not good.
Yes.
Or great, for that matter. I don't know. Never had it. Let's see. Icarius tells him that's because you're a junkie after the whole master class and angel dust thing. And what did he say? He says, you're a junkie non-parial, I think is what he said. I'm not lying to you guys. I wrote it down off the subtitles, which offends Cass. And it causes him to kind of call Icarius out on that statement. But Icarius tells him, no, you're a wanton, riotous junkie. And I love it, he tells him. Cass immediately switches gears and gets all happy again. And he suggests that they go to this all-night sex club down the road. But it's interrupted by several trank darts that enter his chest. Doo, doo, doo. He falls to the ground, and the holy mercenaries attack. Icarius tries to help Cass out, but he ends up getting his hand burned. Though they're chasing him around with that Sunspot 3000.
Which is so... Okay, here's the thing. Here's the problem. I love the scene, but gee, you've been around for 300 years. This should have been a walk in the park for you, Icarius. Like you fly. Fly away and kill them. You fly, G. You're telling me you can't dip into a bat and fly between the lights?
Like vampires are supposed to be like super fast.
Super fast,
They
G.
can just get you in like half a second kind of thing.
Yes. Right. And so when he puts up his hand, if he puts up his hand, ow, then the other way, ow, I was like, yeah, you might want to do that faster. That's an option. They're catching you slow. These are human beings. If I could kill vampires with 2 lights, well, then vampires might as well not exist because you are not a better evolution of us. You're actually devolving because we can just catch you with lights by normal people. It's ridiculous, G. No, if like a group of weightlifting priests can beat you, I'm not going to get bit by you because it feels like I'm going backwards. Because I'm fairly sure if a group of weightlifting priests were after me and they had trank darts would have got me. Trank darts would have got me. But that means that they can get me just as easy. They can get me about as easy as they got you then. The end. We're both in the same situation. And aren't their hearing amazing? Isn't their hearing good? Can't you hear great when you're a vampire?
They have been doing bong hits and absinthe, Steve.
You know what? This is true. So maybe they're absinthe-minded. Come on, G. Come on, G!
I'll give it to you. Let's give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. That's worth an applause. You know, the thing that gets me even more than that, though, it's the same thing that I've been bitching about. My only gripe with this entire season is the fucking sunlight. Whoa, did I lose you?
All right, sorry, we got a little bit, something happened with Skype, and it cut off my amazing, genius joke.
Well, I got your joke in there, buddy. I got it.
No, I'm saying you're going to have to put it into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame. I don't even know how sometimes I don't know how I come up with these things. I wonder if it's a natural thing. I wonder if it was given to me hereditary. Like it's in my very, like.
You just come from a long line of comedians.
I think so. Am I related to Eddie Murphy? Am I related to Richard Pryor? Am I related to Einstein, Tesla, perhaps? I don't know. It just comes to me. But anyway, go on.
So now that Steve's done smelling his own farts, I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Yes. Totally.
What I was saying is that what's really bugging me about this, and it's my one gripe that I've had the entire season, and the only gripe that I've really had with this season, it's been fantastic, is the goddamn sunlight thing. Because
I know,
dude, they're out in the sun. Like at the end, again, sorry to jump to the end, but Carius literally drives into the sun. And then he stands in front of a sunbeam.
Shadow, though.
But he's
in the shadow.
Okay, then let's get back to Cass holding an umbrella with his hand exposed.
Now this is true.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally
it's just
true.
so stupid. But other than that, my only gripe.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. So where was I? Fart smeller. Let's see. So Cass falls to the ground, and Carius is trying. I'm just catching us up, as all guys. Calm down. Carius he's pinned apparently with this Exo Sunspot 3000 thing, and this nun comes over. Which Cass is on the ground. She stands over him, spits on him, and she calls him an abomination. And Cass does a G move right here. He tells her that over time he's built up quite the tolerance to tranquilizers. And he goes, "Have you?" He pulls out a dart from his chest and he stabs her right in the leg, and she just goes down immediately. And see, in my opinion, I thought we got some pretty good quality Cass vamping, but that's just me. He quick because he doesn't do it in a matter of seconds like you're wanting, but he does make mincemeat of them quite quickly. He takes out 3 mercenaries like it's nothing, and he snaps one of their necks. I was satisfied. Sorry if you're not. I was satisfied, Steve.
I am unsatisfied.
That's okay. It's all right. I'm bitching about the sunlight, so we're good. But Hoover's watching all this from afar, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He literally says, "Oh shit!" and he just runs out.
Because they look at him.
Yes, they looked right at him, and I don't know why they didn't go after him.
They should have totally killed him.
They should have, but then we wouldn't have him anymore, and we know what he's.
This is true.
We got their sand account, Steve.
Yes.
So once the mercenaries are done with, Cass goes to find Carius. His cloak's lying there on the ground, like assuming he's dead. And he hears, "Why so glum, chum?" And he turns to see that Carius is transformed into a mouse. And Cass is like super impressed with this. And he's like, "I didn't even know you could do that." And Carius tells him, "Given enough time, we can do anything." We can do anything, he says, man. Mm-hmm.
Getting him in.
There is a lot of dream selling going on in this one.
Totally, dude.
So Cass expresses concern that all of this was his fault. And Carius tells him that there's always going to be those people that want to hunt their kind. But Cass says that these people were not the average vampire vigilantes. Now, this is a good time for me just to make sure that we're on the same page. Because he says that he's concerned that his friends are now mixed up with these people and that he's got to go and everything. And Carius is telling him that you don't have to go. You don't have to go anywhere. But Cass is assuming that these guys, in my opinion, were the first vampire hunters, like the ones from the plane that they've just kind of sort of danced around with, and that he called them a worldwide death cult that will be coming after him. So do you think, I mean, it kind of makes sense to me that he is under the impression that these vampire hunters are all the same people? You know what I mean? Do you think that the people in the airplane in season 1 are these vampire hunters, or the holy mercenaries, as I'm calling them?
I think he knows that they're the Grail. Because hasn't he seen them before in those red suits?
No. I don't even think that's what I'm saying. I don't think they even gave Hoover much. They looked at him. They obviously made eye contact. That's when he said, "Oh shit," and he dipped out. But I think he was talking about the holy mercenaries.
No, I think because he saw the suit. So he knows that guy was after him. That red and white suit is very distinct. He knew that's who they're after me. I have to go. The reason he's leaving is because he's going back to Tulip and Jesse. It was like, I saw your boys.
Okay. That's true, because he did say that they're involved with them now. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I just, you know what I'm talking about, though. I didn't know if he was just thinking, these are the same vampire hunters from the plane or something. But that actually makes more sense. So, good call, Steve. You're just kicking ass.
No, right. This is my favorite episode of the season.
Well, then you should be coming correct, right? My man, Steve. Handling business.
Trying.
Carius reassures him that they're not going to be coming after him, that they're going to be coming after them both. Again, dream selling.
They're like, he's not coming after you. They're coming after us.
They're coming after us. And Cass,
it's over.
And then
now Cassie's being embraced, man.
Yeah, embraced for a kiss. It was romantic, Steve. It was very romantic. But I'm telling you, I still think that it's a mesmerizing thing. We'll see if that happens. Who knows? But let's go ahead and go up into the sky, because Tulip and Featherstone and Jody are now on their flight to Osaka. And, the rivalry continues in the form of Featherstone just being like punking her, really. She takes a magazine. It was like a prison move. She has magazines right in front of her. She takes Tulip's magazine. And Tulip's like, that's mine. And Featherstone tells her that she can look at the pictures when she's done. Just punking her. Tulip uses what Jesse told her to do. And she tries to breathe deeply while she's resting her head against the seat in front of her. But Jody says, back it up, O'Hare, and pushes the seat back even further, probably jacking up her cervical spine a little bit, Steve. I'm not going to be, I'm just saying that there might be a little bit of radicular pain now going into her upper extremity. But that's just my take on things.
That's your take.
That's,
for sure.
Tulip fidgets and tries to calm herself down, but not before punching Jody in the back through the seat. Not necessarily in the back, but she did punch the seat. Now we cut to this garage. We're getting to this part that was bugging me. We get to the garage, and Icarius and Lisa are now in this car, and they're ready to leave for the quote-unquote airport. However, this doesn't work out for Lisa, like she thought it was going to. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys hear what actually goes down, and then we'll talk about it.
How many people have you driven to the airport?
Oh, hundreds.
Thank you, Icarius, for letting me be your emissary. Should probably get going. I don't want to miss the plane.
There is no plane. There's never been a plane.
What do you mean, Icarius?
Why would I send another vampire into the world? Filthy piece of vermin. Spoiling. Stinking. Falling into despair.
You're a vampire too.
Yes. And I'm the worst one of all.
So now the secret's out, Steve. We know that Icarius is full of shit.
Yes.
And
he's a self-hating vampire that now that he feels like Cassidy, but he's had 300 years to feel even darker than Cassidy.
Yeah, he's got 3 centuries of self-hate to work with.
Totally. And he's putting on this front for Cassidy because he needs someone just as much as Cassidy does.
Yeah. Self-hating is the perfect word. He was calling him filthy vermin, filthy, stinking, falling into despair vermin or something like that.
Yeah.
But Lisa's like, you're one too. And he tells her, yes, I'm the worst vampire there is. And he takes her out. So Icarius opens the garage door and he pulls out into the sunlight, Steve. Into the fucking sunlight.
No, into the shadow.
But what about reflective light?
He's fine. He's in the car in a shadow. Literally no sunlight's hitting him.
I'm not buying this at all. There's nothing you can say that will sell me on this.
There is a roof over him.
Understood.
Blocking rays. Because remember, it's not sunlight that gets him. It's the rays. It's not like reflection. It's like the rays of like the UV rays.
The UV rays.
Yeah. So he has none on him in the car, in the shadows.
I'm giving you this. I'm giving you this, but I'm still not happy about the whole umbrella thing.
Fair.
So what we end up finding out is that Icarius has been dumping. He's got like a legit vampire dumping area. It's right off the side of these railroad tracks, and he just dumps the bodies out and lets the sun take care of it. So see, they're still flirting with the sunlight, but forget it. I've got my issues. But we see these multiple piles. We've got these multiple piles of ashes that are on the ground. So he's done this a lot. Everyone that has gone to fly is just lying near the railroad tracks. So we cut back to Jesse and Hairstar, and they have this conversation, which is really all revolved around trust. Both of them need to know that they're like being truthful with each other. I just like it when those two are talking, so I went ahead and included this. One more audio clip for you. Here we go.
We are gonna get my soul.
Correct. And that will make Genesis work.
Yes. Then I will be your Messiah.
Exactly.
What if I make Genesis work and I don't want to be your Messiah?
This is not the time for plots and subterfuge. There's too much at stake. You're going to have to trust me.
You and your industry standard lies?
Custer, when you make a promise, it means something to you, yes?
That's right.
Well, I want you to promise that when Genesis starts working, you won't betray me, kill me, or force me to have sex with you. Promise me that, and I promise I will take you to your soul.
Then I promise.
So yeah, man, to me it just seems like it's just establishing trust. And of course, I don't know if this was like if Star was trying to work on the power of suggestion with him when he tells Jesse that he doesn't want him to force him to have sex with him and kill him. But I kind of maybe not the killing part, but Star's a freak like that, G. I think maybe that's what he wanted. There's just power of suggestion. I'm just saying, dude. That's just my opinion.
No.
I don't need any emails. I'm just saying that's what I think. So once they're off the road, Jesse's got the hood on, so it doesn't really matter, but they enter this garage at Grail headquarters, and they're greeted by several Grail agents right off the bat. Star gets called immediately and is told by Hoover that he lost Cassidy, even though they had the sun lamps and the Catholics and everything, and he acknowledges that he let Star down. This is where Star threatens to let him down into a vat of acid if he screws this up one more time, and they get into this elevator and they head upstairs. Now the next thing, dude... this is just something that jacks me up every once in a while. I thought I was over it. Apparently I'm not. But we see that we see the soles of Grandma's feet. And Betty Buckley, I'm sorry, girl. But TC is painting her toenails, and she's got those little weird things that they put in between their toes, to separate them and everything. And TC's got his weird goggles on. It's not your feet, Betty Buckley. It's not what I'm saying. It's just that it's Grandma's feet, and I have problems with this. And I even had more problems with it because TC, he's like painting her toenails, and he's like, I like this color. Says, I like this shade. I like the sparkles in it. She tells him that he missed the pinky toe, or he smudged the pinky toe. He's like, I didn't do that. And he's like, goodly goo. He like tickles her feet.
Yep.
So like after I threw up, I got back to the story again. TC asked Grandma, what's a Genesis? And Grandma tells him, she says, that's the first book of the Bible. And she also tells him that he's simpler than a box of empty baskets. So Grandma can cap. But TC tells her that he knows all the Bibles and the books. That's not what he's talking about. He wants to know what a Genesis is. And she immediately stops everything she's doing and she leans into him. And now, I didn't know this. We now know what TC stands for. And she tells him Theodore Charles. Where in the world did you ever hear about that? Did you know his name was Theodore Charles?
I did not.
I think that's new, but I could be wrong.
Now, the thing is, this shows that TC is useful. He listens a lot to what people are talking about. He's useful.
This is such a better... I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is such a better TC than the comic. We had a one-dimensional person that just walked around fucking things and was Jodie's assistant. But TC is amazing on this show. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If they somehow found a way to keep these guys alive for one more season, I would be completely down with it. Because I think they add that much to this season. They're awesome. All three of them. But we'll see what happens. Agree. We will see, though. I don't know. So we're getting down to the end. And this is where you were talking about this earlier. We find Cassidy and he's asleep in his new coffin. He actually tried it instead of knocking it. And just going to point out that the sun is still shining on him. And Carius enters and he's just standing in front of him and he's just staring at him, like, look at this hot piece of vampire meat. He hops in the coffin with Cassidy and he gives him a little kiss on the neck. And then they proceed to make goo-goo eyes at each other and the coffin closes and then they do vampire stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bite me, fool. Now we're back at the newly relocated Grail headquarters because Star says so. They're making their way up in the elevator, and Jesse asks him, he's like, the new office? He's like, yes, we've relocated. And Star tells Jesse that his soul is waiting for him as they speak in the reception area. So he makes it sound like he's going to give it to him right away, but come on, Star, that's not going to happen.
Well, it's not that easy, no.
Star tells Jesse that no matter what happens, he's going to be down with him. He's going to be there for him the whole time. But before he's able to get that soul, there's always a catch, Steve, and it's that Jesse will actually have to kill him, as he puts it, and he pulls out a gun. Jesse gives him like, what the fuck? Look, what are you talking about? And he asks who he means, and that's when the elevator door opens up, and Star puts the gun to Jesse's head and says, Jesse Custer as requested, sir. Now standing before them is the All-Father, who looks at them for a little bit of gives him that little awkward stare, and he says, thrice blessed, O Custer. And the last shot we get of the episode is Jesse with this look on his face. It reminded me very much of like an old Quantum Leap episode where Scott Bakula gets into some shit and he just goes, oh boy, and then it ends. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap.
I think it was genius for Hairstar to say, well, no matter what, I'm with you, because that pattens either way. A, he wins and he's like, yeah, I was with you the whole time. B, he loses and Hairstar could go down in flames with Jesse while he's going down in flames. Like, no, I'm still with you. I'm just waiting for you to make your move. Jesse dies, and the whole time it still looked like he was with the All-Father. Hairstar has literally padded either way.
Well, he's got to.
Like,
he's screwing everyone but himself. So he has to just pat his wafer like completely around him in a 360 fashion.
So no matter what I say, no matter what stuff I say that I hate you, no matter if I whip you, if I have to dismember one of your fingers as torture, trust me, I have to do it. But I'm with you all the way down. So this was, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite episode of the season thus far.
I gotta agree with you, man. The writing was spectacular. Not a lot of comic throw-ins, and I don't even really care about that so much for this episode or this season because it's just so damn good. I agree with Steve. The writing was phenomenal on this one.
Loved it. So, I mean, look, here's what I want. Here's what I want everybody to do. Okay, I want you to write into our show and tell us why this is the best show or why this is the best episode of this season. I don't want to hear any other opinions. No, this is the facts of the matter. Best episode this season. Tell us why.
It's the best episode this season. Everyone thinks so.
Oh yeah, it's been the best. Everybody's saying it. No, it's true. It's true.
We won't gaslight you guys. If you guys want to say something like, hey, I don't agree with you, but here's why, then please fire it away. Just fire away at us because I make one request, guys. We have this brand spanking new voicemail system. Hook it up. Let's hear those beautiful voices of yours, all right? Is that too much to ask? I don't think it's too much to ask. It's not too much to ask, Steve.
Of course not. We can't wait to hear from you people. You have just witnessed the best episode of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, other than the whole Dan with his freaking UV ray situation, dear Lord, man.
I'm still going to fight that all the way to the bloody end.
I swear to God. But yes, we love you. Now, this is the last you're going to hear from me because we're not going to do the contact information. Dan already said it. He didn't lie. He didn't go back on his word.
Here we go with the VIP tour again, guys.
Hey, I love y'all. Thank you so much for your wonderful, amazing emails and voicemails and so on and so forth. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say later on. Hey, please use the voicemail app. The voicemail app is so cool. Straight from the website. It really works. Dan actually demoed it and it was super cool. It's super easy to do. So please do that. This is the last you're going to hear from me. Until next week, we love y'all. Peace out.
Why, thank you, Stephen. Stephen Wonderful. Everybody, Stephen Wonderful. Let's give him a round of applause. There it is. Guys, my name is Dan. I'm going to go back on my word and just let you guys know. I won't give you the full spiel, but please hit us up, www.heroesofnoise.com. Again, that is the website for our main show, our annual, year-round show that we have been slacking a little bit, and I'm sorry about that, but we got our reasons. This has been a fantastic episode, guys. I had a blast. For Stephen Wonderful, I'm Dan Ramirez. We are the Word. We are the Heroes of Noise, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks for listening.